News Bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 4th of November, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Tobago's ecological system along the Cove coastline was endangered back in February earlier this year when an overturned Gulf Stream barge triggered the national emergency in response to over 50,000 barrels of oil being leaked into the ocean. The spill contaminated the waters of Tobago's southwestern peninsula and stretched all the way to the islands, including Grenada and Borneo. 9 months later, some of that oil is still to be posing an environmental threat to the sister isle, as it was dumped into large pits at Studley Park landfill. Newly appointed government senator Ansel Dennise, leader of the People's National Movement Tobago Council, warned months ago about the improper disposal in that large pits of oil at Studley Park are posing an environmental hazard. He said action is needed to address the problem, warning the Tobago House of Assembly about this action months ago when they started cleanup. Then it stressed the THA should be careful not to, while engaging in cleanup of the oil spill, create another disaster, and that's exactly what has been done, according to him, with the improper disposal of oil from the cleanup from the first spill. The decision by TGI Friday to file for bankruptcy in the U.S. is not expected to impact operations in Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the region. This, according to Simon Hardy, CEO of the franchise holder Prestige Holders Limited. Hardy said the effects of the U.S. side of the business does not affect the international franchise-operated restaurants. Our business continues to thrive, he says. The TGI restaurant chain filed for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. yesterday, saying it's looking for ways to ensure the long-term viability of the casual dining brand after closing many of its branches earlier this year. 2 weeks after she was charged with murdering her daughter 7 years ago, Alana Mathura has died. According to police reports, a 63-year-old was taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex on Thursday night and died early yesterday morning. Police said since she was remanded in custody, Mathura refused to eat and fell ill as a result. On October 15th, Mathura and her husband Andrew, 66, were charged with murdering their daughter Hannah Mathura. Andrew and Alana, both of Booterwood Valsain, are accused of murdering their 18-year-old daughter on a date unknown between July 8th, 2017, when she was last seen alive, and March 13th this year, a day after her skeletal remains were found in the backyard buried in their home. Cabinet has agreed to a recommendation from the Minister of Finance, Colin Imber, at its regular meeting regarding recent forex window at the Exim Bank for essential imports created by the ministry in 2020 in response to an urgent and critical need during the COVID-19 pandemic, but resumed in a structured format. This was done after careful consideration and a comprehensive review by the Ministry of Finance and the Exim Bank over the last month. The base data set used for the review was the final 0 listed items that came into effect on February 1st, 2016 by the Value Added Tax Order 2016, items not manufactured in Trinidad and Tobago and items not specifically pandemic related. Attorney at law Kareem Marcel plans to present himself as a nominee for the Laventille West constituency for the People's National Movement. Marcel said he decided to enter the race for Laventille West after Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley urged young people to step forward and take responsibility for the nation. He said the move is not intended as a sign of disrespect to current Member of Parliament for Laventille West, National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. Marcel urges all PNM members to unite and hold steadfast to the principles of mutual respect and courtesy. A hazardous seas yellow alert is in effect. The Met Service explains long periods of northerly easterly spells are expected to affect mainly shoreline north-facing coastal areas of Trinidad and Tobago. Battering waves at the affected shorelines can be exacerbated at high tide. Nearshore activities, including fishing, sea bathing, mooring of boats, can be adversely affected. All marine interests should monitor nearshore and coastal sea conditions and exercise caution along the affected areas. Quincy Jones, the legendary music producer who worked with Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, and many others, has died at the age of 91. Jones' publicist Arnold Robinson said he passed away peacefully on Sunday night at his home in Bel Air in LA. His family released a statement saying, "Tonight, with broken hearts, we must share the news that our father and beloved brother Quincy Jones' passing. Although it's an incredible loss to our family, we celebrate his great life that he lived and know there will never be another one like him." Jones was best known as producer of Michael Jackson's top-selling album Thriller. He also produced the Aid release called We Are the World. And Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are pushing their closing messages to voters on the last official day of campaigning before America decides on its next president tomorrow. Both candidates signed final sprints across key battleground states, with Harris to campaign in Pennsylvania today and Trump heading to North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. On Sunday, Harris vowed to do everything in her power to end the war in Gaza, while Trump made claims without providing any evidence of election fraud in Pennsylvania. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Morning, neighbors. Good morning, neighbors. How you doing on this Monday, the 4th day of November? You know what that means? Yeah, 51 days to Christmas. 51. 6 weeks, pretty much, till Christmas. All right? Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show fullcasting this morning. Of course, we just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. Let me say good evening going out to Paul. Morning to you, Pablo.
I come from a land down under.
I realize.
Good evening, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, good morning.
It's a crosshair's morning. It's 9:07 p.m. where you are right now.
Good morning, Wendell.
I'm like a bald head rasta.
Yeah, man.
Back home.
Morning, gentlemen. Paul, how are you? It's midday where you are.
No, it's evening. It's 9:07 p.m.
9:08 p.m.
Oh, yes. You're 12 hours ahead.
Or 13, depending on what state
13, yeah? All right. So how are you? How are things?
I'm just getting my head back together after the time zone gaps.
Yeah, that is well mashed up, you know.
I thought yesterday was Monday and yesterday was Sunday. I didn't know. I just got confused after a while.
Yeah. I would imagine it's troubling, trust me. But you're in a wonderful part of the world.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely stunning and beautiful.
Yes. As I follow, well, of course, I've been following your posts on Facebook.
That boy could eat, Lord.
Well, you know, in that picture last night, you looked like you poured a few pounds already. Yeah,
yeah, he did. Yeah, I said the same thing.
I said Chinese food shouldn't put on. Maybe you had some smoked kangaroo and so on.
Yeah.
And some of the good old Australian beer. Australians love to drink it.
Let me tell you something. I had the best beer in the world I ever had. And it was made in what's the name of the place? The brain gone blank, yes. Tasmania.
Oh, really?
Let me tell you, a Tasmanian beer, it is out of this world. Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania have great beer, and they have amazing wines. But the food, the diversity of the food, and just because remember Fiji and all these places, Malaysia, all these places not too far.
Yes.
So they have a huge influence on that Asian side. They have a huge English side. They have the food is out of this world, and the place Sydney is just stunning. A stunning city.
It is. It is. I had the pleasure of visiting Australia once. I went to Sydney, then I went on to Cairns in Queensland. So I visited the Great Barrier Reef. I even swam I went in the water and a stingray came right up to me. I swear.
That's,
I jumped out whatever little clothes I had on.
A stingray come to you in Trinidad too, and you fell in love.
Well, I was with the stingray then too. I was with the stingray then too. Two of us were in the water. Oh Lord!
I don't know what stingray you're talking about, but I know what stingray you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I stayed very quiet.
I don't know what stingray you're talking about, sir.
Yeah.
I know what stingray I talk about.
Yes,
anyway.
Daniel Knights. I have on one of those wigs that Dr. Fuad Khan wears from time to time.
You're looking like Trevor Sayers, actually.
When he playing Rastaman, eh?
You're looking like Trevor Sayers.
Oh God, no! Don't tell me that.
You're looking like Trevor Sayers.
No, it had to come off right away. I didn't think about him.
I tell you, looking like Trevor Sayers. Be careful.
That's why I take it off.
He ain't singing like him though, but that's a good thing.
Mm.
But good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning to you all.
All over the globe. It's an absolutely beautiful Monday morning. I don't know.
What is the name of the beer, Paul, from Tasmania?
Paul didn't hear you.
Oh, what is the name of the beer?
I can't remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
beer.
I know the wine. The wine is
Beer.
The name of the wine is another one off the truck.
Another one off the truck. That's the name of it.
Mm-hmm. That is the name of the white wine and the red wine. I mean, absolutely taste. Let me see the bottle of this. Another one of the truck is the white wine. And the red wine is 10 minutes by tractor.
Wow.
You can trust Australians to come up with names like that.
10 minutes by tractor is the red wine, and another one of the truck is the name of the white wine. I can't remember. I'll get the name of the beer for you. But I mean, talk about a beautiful tasting, like it refined for like years. It's almost like it's a wine, but it's not a wine.
Right.
And of course, it comes in a giant bottle. So after one beer, you're good, you know. After one beer, you're good.
Yeah. It's like there's a beer in Ghana called Club. It's the biggest beer you'll ever see. I swear. It's the biggest bottle of beer you'll ever see. You could only have one. But of course, you know, when Wendell went, he had more than one.
Well, isn't that like you? Have to overdo.
Wendell
doesn't get in here. I mean, you have to do some flying like hell. That's the only thing.
Have you been able to get the smoked kangaroo yet?
Not yet. I'm supposed to get that tomorrow.
Yeah, we try and try that.
Get away from me.
I didn't know that wild kangaroo is the national animal of Australia. That it's such an invasive species. They multiply so quickly that they actually have people hired full time to kill kangaroos to keep the population down.
That's one job I can do.
Yeah. Oh, don't get tired with kangaroos, you know. Kangaroos are very violent animals.
They are very violent. We've seen plenty of videos with them.
Kangaroos will come into your yard and grab your dog and kill it, you know. Kangaroos are very aggressive, very violent animals, and they destroy crops like mad. So they have to cull them all through the year. Otherwise, they will just take over the place and run through neighborhoods and stuff. And they stand on their back legs and box. And they will grab onto your dog and drag it out of the yard.
Yep.
They find it cute. Okay.
The koalas are cute.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
What's happening in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, let's see. The usual robberies, off-duty police officer shot a bandit as they tried to rob a grocery right there in Currap, just south of Watt Street.
I think I saw that video.
Yeah. That's the one, Paul. That's the one.
Walking, you know.
You're walking. Not working, you know. Walk it, it's frozen.
But it could be the classic hotel internet.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe three of them came out.
You didn't get the special package like you always advise me to get?
I didn't have to book.
Oh, well,
So
you
the
could
three of
watch.
them came out of a gold and mirror and entered that grocery in Kirep. And
Lincoln is asking if they eat kangaroo. Of course, they eat kangaroo.
Yes.
they do.
Yes. It's the leanest protein they have, and they eat a lot of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And an
It is
off-duty
severe
police
mechanism.
officer shot him. Of course, he
So
limped.
off-duty police officer entered the store that they tried to rob, and I think shot one of them.
Yeah, off-duty police officer shot one of them.
Yeah, well, the video showed him fell to the ground, but I wasn't sure if he fell or if he got shot.
Well, clearly he got shot and fell to the ground and was limping across to the pavement and telling the police officer, "Oh God, please, please," waving his hand, "Stop, stop, stop."
Oh, well, I didn't see that part of the video.
Yeah. So,
Because I was hearing the guy in this grocery saying, "Shoot him again," or something like that.
yeah, people would say that. Kirep is getting so hot. So, not getting it, it's gotten so hot with crime of all sorts. Remember a couple of weeks ago, a guy flying his car and he was killed and thrown out of the vehicle on McEnroy Street. Kirep is not what it used to be, clearly. It is not. Of course, the forex issue continues. Of course, our guest this morning will be the managing director of Republic Bank, Nigel Batiste.
Does he still have that position?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard about Mr. Batiste for a while.
Yeah, so we will chat with him coming up after 7 this morning.
Interesting.
Yeah, we are.
Bankers actually talking.
Yeah, well, he's always accessible to the Power Breakfast Show. Kudos to him for that.
But he is a stoic banker as you could get, eh?
Yeah. Just let folks know that Macquarie Beach is closed, and that is because of the hazardous seas alert. I'm sure time that is lifted, it will open back. So just keep note of that. That Macquarie Beach is closed. I afraid that beach, I really do.
It's the only beach I used to go to long time ago,
Yeah.
And then when they closed it down for repairs, I stopped. And I'm not a beach person. I'm not a seawater person at all, But it's the beach that we went to long time ago.
Yeah. Of course, the U.S. elections is tomorrow. Early voting in some states have closed already. Today they're making their final stretch, their stint. Kamala being endorsed by a lot of celebrities, Katy Perry and Lady Gaga today, as they move
People better go out and vote if they know what's good for them.
Well, I said voter turnout as early voter turnout has been high. Legendary producer.
That's the only way to defeat Donald Trump, by outvoting him, because his votes are guaranteed. Trust me.
Quincy Jones has passed away at the age of 91. Yeah, surrounded by his family. Born March 14th, 1933. He was also a director and conductor, and of We Are the World, which is still the number one song out. So condolences to his family, of course.
The mother of Hannah Matsura died also.
Yeah.
Yes, the mother.
She died at the end of last week. She complained while in prison, not feeling well. Took her to the hospital in the morning and she died in the evening.
Well, she wasn't eating, Steve.
Yeah. Well, that's what you said in the news.
She stopped eating. She refused to eat. So if you refuse to eat, you're going to get unwell after a while.
Yeah.
That's a really sad situation, but she, along with her husband, were charged with murdering the child. Well, the young woman would have been 18 at the time of her disappearance/death, which police have classified as a homicide. So,
yeah. Also, let me say good morning going out to Sherma Wilson. Good morning to you, Sherma.
Morning, Sherma.
Her son Kareem Marcel has put in for Laventil. Is east or west? West.
Laventil West.
Yeah.
That's very
Laventil
strong.
West.
You know, I don't know why people are surprised at Kareem Marcel's intention. He has always shown that he was interested in serving, you know, and at a high office. From the time he started his activism, he has always shown that potential, which is, I guess, why too they would have put him in as an alderman in the corporation when the vacancy came up. To prepare, because he had that ambition. He always showed that ambition. So I don't know why people acting surprised. You understand? Or shocked.
I don't think anyone acting surprised in a window.
When I hear people talking,
I don't think people are acting surprised. I think people are responding to the incumbent and their feelings on the incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Mr. Hines has
I didn't see one person say Kareem Hines no enter is a bad move.
Kareem Marcel. Yeah.
Kareem Marcel, sorry. I didn't see one of that. What was the sensitive part is the feelings expressed by the incumbent, particularly in his role as Minister of National Security.
Yeah, but I haven't heard from
they're tying it into in addition to representation in Laventil West.
Yeah.
With their sentiments about Minister Hines and MP Hines.
Yeah.
Generally, you understand?
Yeah.
That is where the controversy comes in, or if you could call it a controversy.
But I guess what fueled it is the leaking of that video of the Women's League, which I found reprehensible. I mean, why are you taping a closed door meeting, you know, and sharing it? Why are you doing that? You know, I mean, if it was meant to embarrass Minister Hines, it would. It should not have been done. You understand? But at the same time, democracy comes with all these idiosyncrasies. Lord, I'm using real big words today. Democracy comes with all these things, so it's par for the course. I don't know that Minister Hines would be surprised by it, because I mean he's been around long. He entered politics before Kareem Marcel was even born. You understand? So he's around long time.
Well, what you're saying, Wendell, because the video that was recorded and subsequently circulated showed a vote. I don't know if that was the proper procedure, because I saw a letter from Camille Robinson Regis expressing concern as to how the vote was carried out.
Yeah.
And because the vote showed the person who was seemingly in charge of proceedings. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys.
In charge of proceedings, asking, stating on 3 occasions if the gathering wanted incumbent MP Hines to continue being their representative in Parliament 3 times, and only one person put up their hand and said yes. So it was quite...
The issue, I think, which I have no problem with, is the fact that they asked for a vote by a show of hands. That's normal. That's not abnormal, I should say.
But I got the impression I got from Minister Robinson Regis's missive, you know.
Well, I think she was saying that it should have been a secret ballot, but it's not abnormal to ask for a vote via show of hands in those instances. I mean, I've been a party group member, a constituency group member, a constituency chairman, a general council member, a central executive member, and that's not abnormal.
The issue is not necessarily the process in people's mind. What happened? People could mince words, whatever they want. It was highly embarrassing for the incumbent.
It was, because it was filmed and shared.
And because of how the outcome of the vote.
But I don't know, the outcome would have been different if it was a secret ballot or if it wasn't shared.
I think
I
think you're missing my point.
No, I understand.
My point is that, yes, maybe it shouldn't have been shared and taped. That's not the process that has been established. Mm-hmm. But for somebody who, how long he's serving there? 20 years?
He's been there since 1995. But he had a stint where he wasn't there, I remember. He had a period where he wasn't there.
And after all this time, it was a resounding rejection according to that vote. Now, I don't know if there are other votes that are to become in train.
Right. So according to the Women's League, it was a resounding vote against the incumbent, right?
Exactly. And
Right.
that's the embarrassing thing.
But I don't know how that could be embarrassing. That it happens. In politics, that happens, and it going to happen to a lot
I
of them.
don't know that. I don't know that after serving a
Well-
constituency for many years. Let me finish, please. That, and I guess because it's about representation, right? That a vote is called as to whether or not you want it to continue, and you get a resounding rejection. How is that complimentary?
Well, it's not. I'm agreeing with you that it could be deemed embarrassing, but that
It
is
could
the
be deemed
nature of
embarrassing.
politics. But that is the nature of politics. I'm sorry, you know.
I don't know that could be thought of as embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
Well, let me tell you something, eh? And other MPs are going to face the same situation. There are other MPs who will
But the
face.
thing about it is that, and you know this is true, whoever they put, whether it's Minister Hines to continue or Kareem Marcel, they're going to win the seat.
Easily.
It's not that this little turmoil is going to make a difference in the outcome of the seat whenever the election is called.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's one of those seats that are going to remain with the People's National Movement.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It is being made out like if it's a big deal. I don't know that it is, but Minister Hines hasn't responded as yet. And when he does, Kareem Marcel sent out
I saw a newspaper carry that he did put out a statement on it.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes, he did put out a statement. I can't remember what the statement entailed, but the newspaper did carry that he put out a statement on it.
Okay.
Well, for something that's, you all have certainly made a big deal about it, talking about it.
I don't know why when it says that a big deal is of course it's politics is going to be a big deal. The opposition party going to say they're going to be conflated with his role as Minister of National Security and reject him there too in their minds. Come on.
Doesn't the country love a PNM bacchanal?
They love any bacchanal.
Oh, yes.
Does the country love a look behind the big, heavy curtain
of the Balize? Don't forget to add that.
Right. It's a peek behind the curtain of the Balize. They're well put
because usually it's very disciplined
and secretive and confidential.
They badly want the sea snakes.
So when the curtain frays or shifts to the side because of some blowing wind and you get a peek, people go, oh.
You can trust Richard to bring theater to this, huh?
So TGI Friday filed for bankruptcy in the US. But local prestige said it's not going to affect the local operations because apparently it's run by the company is separated in that way, where the US operation is one company and the franchise operation, bearing the name TGI, is another operation. But do you think eventually it means that the TGI brand will go out of business?
Well, filing for bankruptcy in America doesn't mean that you're closing.
I know. It's a financial
restructuring tool. It's a restructuring tool.
Mm. Isn't that also happening with Wendy's? Isn't it also happening with Wendy's? I think I read somewhere a lot of Wendy's branches closing down again.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I read that. I'm sure I read that over the weekend.
I haven't heard that. And they're building a brand new one in Arima. Which looks different to the others because the others are usually these kind of container drive-throughs. The Wendy's in Arima looks like a building you can actually go into.
And Wendy's in Woodbrook was one you could have gone into and sit down, you know.
I know, but not anymore. Their new model, remember, it was taken over. And the new model was containers and only drive-through and takeaway. You could not sit down anywhere. They put some little tables outside some of those container designed Wendy's. But it really is for you to collect and go. But the one in Arima does not look like that. At least from the outside, it looks like.
You can see where they're putting that now, Richard.
Yeah, more and more traffic. Yeah.
Oh goodness, Lord! I said, what are they doing down at that corner there? They're just making it almost impossible to exit Arima from Tampuna Road just now.
Yeah, but because there's so many businesses flourishing in that area, flourishing businesses bring more.
True.
That's
But they
what
need to do
happens.
something quick about the road network down there.
Yep.
Don't worry, the National Transportation Plan coming.
I
Well, we
almost
did
thought he was.
interview-
I almost thought he was going to say the National Transformation Alliance.
It looks so because he all decked out in blue too. Eh?
I almost thought he was going to say, "Don't worry, the NTA is coming."
Just
It's
now we have
almost like if some strange revelation come halfway across the world
Yeah.
Revelation of what?
of you making up, kissing and making up
Kissing and making up with whom?
with NTA.
There was a falling out? Oh, please surprise me.
And mind my business.
Yeah.
There was a falling out?
Let me drink my water too and mind my business.
Okay,
My water have
right.
reduction in it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know of any antipathy.
But listen, I wanted to give a little story quickly, right? Because I traveled over the weekend, right? I went up to Jamaica.
that was storm brewing towards Jamaica now.
Yeah, I saw that. They're gonna get bad weather, I think, coming from tonight, I think.
Yeah, they said after it passes Jamaica, it may turn into a hurricane.
Yeah. But I don't know if you all are aware, a lot of working in a airline has a lot of perks, It's stressful, but it has a lot of perks, And a lot of people who fly, all these people who work these different airlines, they fly. One of the perks is that they get to go to different countries, standby in any case. But it's cheap, but it's still risky because you never know for sure if you'll actually get on the flight. So a lot of them actually fly Caribbean Airlines, American Airlines, all of them, air hostesses and people who work in these airlines, and even relatives of these people who work in the airlines, get to fly regularly, on a standby list, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know it was so how I should put it, prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them actually fly in their uniforms, and go elsewhere and so on. But it's pretty prevalent. It's risky, but it's cheap,
Yeah, you better get. But a lot of times they do get on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that rope. I don't like it, but because of my daughter, I did it. But I don't like the fact that I'm sitting in an airport and hoping I get on a flight. I don't like that. But
I didn't even like that going to Tobago.
I did it, and I didn't regret it.
Well, for anybody who's working in an airline and wants to put me as their significant other, feel free. Go on.
How much people beg my daughter to do the same?
Top OnlyFans star retires at 28 after earning $67 million in 3 years on OnlyFans.
I should have done that. I would have been a multi-billionaire. I should have done that.
Done what?
It's not too late. You can still open OnlyFans right now.
Somebody
What are you selling?
at 28.
What are you selling?
OnlyFans?
An OnlyFans page.
Yeah.
What are you selling, Wendell? What will you sell?
Me? In all my glory?
What does that mean?
I'll show you one day.
No, thank you.
I'll send you one of those one view videos where you watch it and when you close it, it disappears into Neverland.
Steve, open the phone lines, please.
Maybe I could do my hands. What do you think, Paul? My hands.
Sorry?
I could do my hands, it have OnlyFans pages for everything. So I can maybe do my hands.
Richard, they have a guy that films while he's sleeping. That's all he does. Anyway, we have some calls coming through. Let's grab them. Good morning.
Ooh, that's exciting, Richard.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I don't know if you all remember me stating maybe 2 weeks ago that same situation that happened with the lady and the husband. I said that based on our justice system, we cannot hope for justice for these people and them. The most we can hope for, what we will get is that they will come to their own demise on their own time because our justice system just takes so long. A lady called and criticized me and thing and understand and didn't agree with me. And a couple of days later, she called back, and I don't know if she then understood what I meant, but I heard that she called and agreed with my statement. And true to form, not 2 weeks after, one of them have come to their demise, right? And based on the age of the father, you can't hope for justice from the law system. The best you can hope for is that they come to their own demise.
Well, Lincoln, I don't know if you read.
Why would you hope for someone coming to their own demise?
Did you hear me say I hope?
You said the best that we can hope for is that they come to their own demise. Did you realize what you were saying?
And that is what is going to happen. All of us have to come to our demise.
Yeah, are you hoping to come to your demise?
All of us have to come to our demise.
Yeah, but you're hoping for it?
And anyway, yes, Miss Wendell, what were you saying?
No, I don't know why there are some things I heard it and I just let it run.
You need to check what you're saying, and then he's saying nitpicking, but you said that you're hoping for the demise.
On words. But go ahead, Wendell.
But what's happening?
I said, did you read where the son, apparently, who exposed this whole situation, said that the mother was also a victim? So that points to something.
Of course.
Mm.
Of course, I would understand that. I mean, they were dealing with a hostile situation that they were fearful for their life. We could read between the lines and understand what happened in our household.
Yeah, right? I like how you was there.
Sad.
Pardon me?
Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this shooting where they found the regiment shell casings?
They are corrupt. They are untrustworthy people in all organizations, right? And whether the regiment's selling the ammunition or whether they are involved in criminal activity themselves, they are corrupt people in all organizations. And the best the organization has to do, I see the police service is doing it, and I congratulate the police service for doing it. They are arresting their own and charging them. The regiment can't arrest, but the regiment, I know when they find people to be involved in criminal activity, they discharge them forthwith, right? And I think they put them in the hands of the police if they are found to be doing illegal activity. There were 2 soldiers involved in a heist in Pennywise a couple of years ago, and from what I hear, they are still serving because it is becoming more and more difficult. In a sense, this phrase "innocent until proven guilty" we have trying it to be a dangerous phrase because these people are working amongst guns and ammunition, and you cannot let them go because they're innocent until proven guilty. So we're between a rock and a hard place where that is concerned. I want to talk about the shooting of the story video you just played there, Paul, which I don't know why certain business spaces, when you have an armed security, you like to have them by the door, opening door, packing box, doing all kind of foolishness when you have an armed security. This security was excellent. I personally believe when you are armed as a security, you should be somewhere in a hidden environment, getting an advantage on whoever playing mad to come in your place of business. And that security demonstrated excellent, what is the word I want to use?
Strategy and response.
Excellent strategy. The only thing I would have supported, it should have been 3 dead men on the ground there this morning. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, you and a lot of people have said that this
morning. The thing about it too, he was shooting.
Clinton.
He was shooting through people, which was a little dangerous because the guy was cashing and there was an ex-customer there. So he had to shoot through people. You understand?
Did the person die that was shot?
No, apparently not.
Okay.
Yeah. Good morning, caller.
I assume he will give intel on who the others are.
Well, I'm sure they will. Pliers and all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. I want to commend 2 police officers this morning. The one who captured the guy who snatched the person's money as they came out of the bank. The person, I think on Shacken Street it happened. and he
$20,000 you walk out of a bank with.
Yes,
That's
I don't know
crazy,
why they take out all that money and walk through town with it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In this time, in this day and age. Anyway, whatever. Thanks. I want to say Naku Pasifa to that officer. I give you all the praise this morning in the Yoruba language. All the praise for what you did. They said he pursued that guy all the way down to the, I think it's the lighthouse. I couldn't believe this.
Yes, very lighthouse. Yes.
You deserve a promotion. That is good police work. And he got him and he got the money.
Yeah.
The next one is in the grocery in that supermarket in Curep. Lord Steve Khan, I don't know what's going on in Curep.
I don't know
Curep.
myself.
Yes, I grew up in Curep.
It's gotten so bad.
So bad. I grew up in Curep and I'm saying, what is going on in Curep? My God. Hats off to that officer too. All praise to you. The way you dealt. Yeah, man. Look at how the guy had to drag himself out like a dog out of that supermarket and his partners run and left him. The only thing I'm sorry, he wasn't down Federation Park. But suffice it to say, he have to go and face the courts. And that is another story. I want to say to Superintendent Maharaj, who was on he was on Iron Dependency yesterday. I couldn't even get in. He is saying the community, every time Diwali and Christmas coming, they bring up this talk of fireworks. And Lord Jesus, nothing happens. And he is telling us, oh, the community need to speak out. I want to say to him and all the officers, I called Western years ago, more than 5 years ago, concerning fireworks down here in Diego Martin. And you know what? I will never call Western concerning no fireworks again. You know what the officer told me? A female? Ma'am, these people have bought these fireworks. They bought it legally. It is being sold legally. So there is nothing they could do about it. And after she said that to me, I will never call Western concerning no fireworks. Right now, man, you're getting it 12 in the day, 11, 4 o'clock. So whatever laws they have, he talking about some summary firearm law. It's not, as usual, we have laws and it's not being enforced. So waste of time with that. Every year, people have to go through that ritual. I thank God. It doesn't affect them. I was putting clothes on my line yesterday and one went off and my dogs came. I said, thank you, Jesus. Fireworks do affect them. I pity the people who have to go through it. That nonsense every year after year. Come on, man. Look,
all right, thank you.
Did you all congratulate
Richard? I see our poll. I mean, your poll worked on Friday. The forex has been eased. There's been an ease.
Oh yeah, I see. Mr. Imbert, you have released. I shouldn't say Mr. Imbert now.
It is Mr. Imbert.
$25 million US was released.
We polled Mr. Imbert and it worked. Yeah. We polled him and it worked.
Yeah.
So he's listening. That's a refreshing thing that he is listening.
Mm-hmm. You listen to our poll?
Yeah.
The power of our listeners. The power of our listeners. Just a correction though. It wasn't a security apparently in that supermarket. It was an off-duty police officer.
Yeah, it was an off-duty police officer.
Yeah, it's an off-duty police officer.
Yeah, so it was not actual security, but an off-duty police officer.
But he was working as a security, I guess. Eh? Was he
working? That doesn't seem to be what it is. It seems
I don't know.
Yeah. It seems unclear. But yeah, it seems unclear whether he was actually working there.
Well, if I were him, I would say, boy, I just went in to buy something because you know they're coming down on them when they take little extra work. So all he had to say is, I went in to buy 2 Lucozade or 2 Magnum. Them police like Magnum and things.
Did you all congratulate Dwight York?
Oh no, we did not.
Coach.
No, that happened Friday after we came.
I hope he's accessible as Angus Eve was.
Oh. we see he has to rebuild a whole new team.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Your
congratulations,
papers,
Matthew.
Ragoobarsingh.
Yes, I do actually. Of course, I just want to remind people that theaters on this weekend. Love is a Walk is on Saturday and Sunday at Cipriani College. The final 2 performances for 2024 of theater by RSRR Productions is on this weekend. Love is a Walk. Our tickets were on sale since the weekend, so get your tickets early. I know this is a loved play, so it's Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30. I'll keep you posted throughout the show. So, news day for today. Let me start with the news day. And of course, today is Monday, November 4th. Let me say a big happy birthday to my cousin, Nigel Ford, who's claiming he's 52. So,
But you grew up under him.
Just like you claim he was young until last week.
Mm-hmm.
Forex window reopens. That's the headline. Imber, US $25 million available from Exim Bank. Bring back police post in Curep. And the main picture is that, it is a Santa picture, basically. On the back page of the Newsday, Leeward's batsman cracks unbeaten Super 50th century. Graves hands TT first loss. And Five Rivers in SSFL Girls Championship final. All of that is on the back page of the Newsday today. Moving on to the Daily Express. What headline did the Express go with? I'll tell you on today. Forex ease. That's the headline that the Daily Express went with. Cabinet approves. So it's Cabinet, Wendell. Approves US $25 million a month for essential imports. Rowley defense.
That's a good doing. No,
PNM convention postponed. Rowley defends strategic move. And
that come back up as a story that PNM convention postponed. That's still a story.
Yeah, PNM convention postponed. Rowley defends strategic move.
Oh Lord, the media really bored sometimes. Yes.
Marcia Miranda, there's a picture of Marcia Miranda performing at some, I don't want to say Christmas function, Friends of Lodge, Felicity Annual Charity Parang at Millefleur. And on the back page, of course, it's more news. Why I resigned, LaHunt. Rowley prioritizes obedience over dialogue. That's on the back page. So there's a picture of Robert LaHunt. Why I resigned. Rowley prioritizes obedience over dialogue. Is that true, Wendell?
I would.
And the main sports, World Cup or nothing, TTFA gives York qualifying mandate. And Richard keeps pride perfect in Super 50 and TNT women 7th, men 8th on Northeast. Northeast-Strand. Is that how you say it? Northeast-Strand. And in The Guardian today on the front page, Forex ease. Everybody went with Forex, that Forex story. Public outcry forces Imber to reopen Exim Bank window for essential imports. South Chamber to meet Scotland on extortion issues. Lockjack steps down as Associated Branch chairman.
That I'm now going to tell you, that is how to do succession planning. You see that Associated Brands, that is how to do succession planning. That's an example of proper succession planning. Guess who took over from Arthur Lockjack? Nicholas Lockjack. That is how to do succession planning.
Sandfest stamps. There's a picture of the Sandfest stamps. On the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Let me give them their credit because they are the champs. Miss and Mr. Sandfest, Elizabeth Ramesar, St. Joseph Convent, San Fernando, and Marcus McDonald Presentation College, San Fernando, posed with their trophies at the end of the cultural show at Sapa on Saturday. And on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian today, Sammy sees West Indies upswing. And that's it for the 3 dailies this morning. So now you know what the main stories are. in
All right.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Of course, our poll on Friday, where we asked you, should the Minister of Finance, Colin Imbert, intervene with the forex distribution by the banks? Well, he did over the weekend, but our voters said 100%. Everyone said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember, thank you for listening to the Power Breakfast Show and its voters. Thank you very much.
All right, let's get into this morning's poll, gentlemen.
Still ain't supporting you, though, but that's all right.
Yeah. The flexing of the power in Power Breakfast.
Yeah, man.
So my suggested question this morning is, do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West?
They have several ways of asking that same question, but I'll go with that. Or do you think Kareem Marcel is a worthy replacement?
Let's stay with the incumbent and phrase it that way, please.
Okay, all right. Okay.
It's less bacchanalian.
Well,
No, you like Bacchanal.
We thrive on Bacchanal.
You do? I don't.
We do.
We
I
do.
don't. I
Listeners do. I like the Kareem Marcel question.
Yeah.
Do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West? That seems to be a trending story on social media after some video came. Actually, I didn't see the video, but I heard about it.
Oh, please.
Anyway, that's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. Yes, North Americans, you can vote on this poll before you vote tomorrow.
You better go vote.
And you can vote on this poll, and it's much less stressful. So what do you think? And of course, people on our streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portal located there. And of course, if you're watching us on M&E TV or listening to us on smart devices, you can vote via WhatsApp at 318-1021. That's 318-1021. Of course, if you're outside of TNT, put the 868.
Yeah, you know what to do. All right. Do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West? The votes are coming in. David Wares says no. Calvert Gabriel, nope. Rapid Fire, no. Rapid Fire, I was reading something. I don't know if it's you, but it's in San Fernando where they donated a lot of money towards, which is good news, towards school furniture. We'll get into the story in a while. But Rapid Fire says no. Josie Richardson says no. Adonna Clark, no. Michael Mapp, no. Andrew Reno, no. Somebody else says no. Don't know who that is. From Chicago. Strong says no. Dan Raj, yes, I do. Cascade St. Anne says no. Jaron says yes to the poll.
One change in the word in that poll and make it bacchanal, you know.
But they said
change will to should.
It's reported yesterday that the Youth League voted in favor of Fitzgerald Hines. Isn't that curious that the Youth League, because Kareem Marcel represents the Youth League voted in favor of Fitzgerald Hines.
But Minister Hines was the first Minister of Youth.
Yeah, the PNM has a very liberal interpretation of youth.
All right. DL says no. Michael Robinson says no. Royalty Forever says no. Carl M. Jack, my answer is no. Clifton Simpson says no. Captain Ron is in Chicago. Morning, Captain Ron.
Hi, Captain Ron, morning.
Pearl says no. Lorna, morning, Lorna. Indy, Carly, no. Let's see. Yeah.
Captain Ron, you need to paint LX.
You
need 2 coats of paint and a good cobwebbing.
That's a pressure wash.
Oh, good.
That airport is huge. Chicago is also huge.
You ain't going to a huge airport until you go to Singapore.
Really?
Singapore is a mall. It's like you could stay in the airport and don't go nowhere in Singapore. You could just stay there all day. Listen, something I was going to say just now. Richard, I so remember the days when you used to pong me and ask me, Wendell, what is going on with the PNM? Fitzgerald Hines is youth officer male and Jennifer Johnson is youth officer female. I remember those days. Jennifer Johnson, God rest her soul, was female youth officer.
That's why I say they have a very liberal interpretation.
Yes, David. It's Singapore airport has everything in it.
Panama too.
No more votes. We in a lull.
No, we have
Good
votes
morning,
there.
caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Gandhi, yes.
Thank you.
Mr.
Good morning.
Gomes,
No, he's gone.
he gone. That is a bacchanal vote. I know him. I know Mr. Gomes well. That's a bacchanal vote.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Be a minister without representing anybody. So I don't see a big deal.
True. Which is when Zena, when I give my synopsis on the PNM and representation, you will hear me speak about some people who really should just wait to go into the Senate and still be ministers. You'll hear me talk about that. Eventually, I'll say that sometime next year.
All right. Thanks, Zena.
Bye.
All right. Beefy Smith in Goodwood, Tobago says no. DJ Ray says no. Carol Guevara says no.
Gina didn't vote.
Is asking if you have to fill out a form coming into Australia. Yes, you do, a paper form, but guess what? The email visa.
There you go. All right. So Carol Guevara, Gova is Carol Guevara. Wayne Lala says no. Miss Ingrid says no to the poll. Thank you, Miss Ingrid.
Morning, Miss Ingrid.
Wayne
Keeps me
Lala.
informed every single day.
Yeah. Did you vote yet, Miss Ingrid?
She's in Arizona. Arizona is red or blue?
Red. That's Donald Trump land. All right. Let's see. Do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West? Mrs. R says no. Strong says no. Oh, you didn't vote yet? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Ingrid. Beauty Culture says no. And let's see. Pearl Cordes says no. Somebody else here says no. Wendy from New York says no. Let's see. Pearl Cordes, of course. News is coming up in 1 minute's time. So there's a lot of time to vote. Do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West? Yes
Probably.
or no?
Probably. I think people are voting on whether they like Fitzgerald Hines or not.
Yeah, well, everything about Fitzgerald Hines is based on if they like him or not. He has always suffered that in the politics. You understand?
But
Always.
he's just a senior member of the People's National Movement. It'll be hard to replace, I would think, from a party standpoint.
Let me tell you something. Fitzgerald Hines will have to be asked. He will have to have a private conversation with the Prime Minister as to his political future, especially if how he sees this going.
Good morning, caller.
You know?
Yeah, good morning. In all the language on the earth, no.
All right. No, nada,
Righty.
nunca. Nah.
Good morning, Hillbench. No to the poll. Thank you so much. Let's see if I have any on WhatsApp. I have David Nelson saying yes. Up north saying no.
I told you all, I don't know, because I'm not on the ground, what type of representation he does in Laventille West, but and most people are not voting on that. They're voting on their perceptions of his efficiency as a Minister of National Security.
And whether they like him or not. That's how,
Well, based on that.
he has always suffered that in the politics.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. It's exactly 7 o'clock on this, the 4th day of November. Let's get into our major news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Cabinet agrees to a recommendation to resume the forex window at the Exim Bank for essential imports. The opposition claims the government's forex distribution policies are designed to enrich its financiers and friends. Attorney Kareem Marcel to present himself as a nominee for the Laventille West constituency for the PNM. Quincy Jones, giant of U.S. music, dies at the age of 91. And Donald Trump and Kamala Harris to make final sprint across key states on last day of election campaign. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. Cabinet agreed to a recommendation from the Minister of Finance, Colm Imbert, at its regular weekly meeting recently to resume the forex window at the Exim Bank for essential imports created by the ministry in 2020 in response to an urgent and critical need during the COVID-19 pandemic to be resumed in a restructured format. A release noted this was done after careful consideration and a comprehensive review by the Ministry of Finance and the Exim Bank over the last month. The base data set used for the review was the final list of zero-rated items that came into effect on February 1st, 2016 by the Value-Added Tax Order 2016, items not manufactured in Trinidad and Tobago and items not specifically pandemic-related. Items outside these definitions should not be considered essential and should not qualify for preferential access to the government's foreign exchange through the Exim Bank, the release said. This special forex window at the Exim Bank has consumed US $30 million monthly over the last 4 years since its inception in 2020. It included forex for items such as cleaning supplies, bleach, sanitary equipment, protective gear, face masks, respirators, toothpaste, hand sanitizers, hand soap, tissue paper, hygiene products like deodorant, vaccines, and other over-the-counter drugs like cough syrup, as well as pharmaceuticals and essential foods. It has been decided the list of foods, pharmaceuticals, and essential hygiene products such as sanitary napkins and pads, which qualified for this special forex window from 2020 to September 2024, will remain unchanged going forward. However, it will be subject to periodic review to see whether these items should be added or deleted as necessary. The government's allocation of US dollars to the Exim Bank for this essential import facility will now be US $25 per month, a US $5 million reduction from the COVID-19 list of imports. The release noted this is considered to be adequate at this time. It said it should also be noted that the forex window for export manufacturers is not being adjusted and will remain. The resumption of the forex window for essential imports in its restructured format is effective from November 1st, 2024. The Opposition United National Congress has called for an independent investigation to determine where an alleged amount of US $14 billion pumped into the system over the last 9 years has gone. It comes from Oropouche West Member of Parliament Dave Tanku while speaking at the UNC's weekly media conference in Chaguanas on Sunday. MP Tanku claims the government's forex distribution policies are designed to enrich its financiers and friends at the expense of small and medium businesses and common people. Attorney Kareem Marcel plans to present himself as a nominee for the Laventille West constituency for the People's National Movement. Marcel said he decided to enter the race for the Laventille West constituency after Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley urged young people to step forward and take responsibility for the nation. However, he says the move is not intended as a sign of disrespect to the current Member of Parliament and National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. Marcel urged all PNM members to unite and hold steadfast to the principles of mutual respect and courtesy. Media reports say Hines was rejected by the constituency's Women's League in the election recently, where he was not selected as their candidate for MP in the upcoming general election. Laventille West constituency executive chairman Robert Walcott and PNM Lady Vice Chairman Camille Robinson-Regis said the election was marred with irregularities and that a fresh process will have to take place. The Chaguaramas Development Authority has revealed Macri Beach facility has been temporarily closed until further notice. This decision comes in response to current high, rough, and dangerous wave conditions, which pose a significant risk to the safety of visitors. CDA recognizes the inconvenience. It says that this may cause and sincerely apologizes to all patrons. However, it says the safety and well-being of citizens remain top priority. Updates will be provided as soon as conditions improve, allowing them to safely reopen the facility. The CDA has encouraged everyone to exercise caution when visiting coastal areas during the period. A hazardous seas alert yellow level is presently in effect. The Met Service explained that long-period northeasterly swells are expected to affect mainly near-shore, north-facing coastal areas of Trinidad and Tobago. Battering waves at the affected shorelines can be exacerbated by high tides. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Quincy Jones, musician and producer who worked with Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, and many others, has died at the age of 91. Jones' publicist Arnold Robinson said he passed away peacefully on Sunday night at his home in Bel Air. Jones was best known as the producer of Michael Jackson's Thriller album. Over his career that spanned more than 75 years, he won 28 Grammy Awards and was named one of the most influential jazz musicians of the 20th century by Time magazine. And Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are pushing their closing messages to voters on the last day of campaigning before America decides its next president. Both candidates are in a final sprint across key battleground states, with Harris to campaign in Pennsylvania today and Trump heading to North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. On Sunday, Harris vowed to do everything in her power to end the war in Gaza, while Trump made claims without providing any evidence of election fraud in Pennsylvania. The polls suggest the race is still exceptionally close, and more than 75 million people have already voted. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy to cloudy spells with occasional showers and medium chance of a few heavy showers and thunderstorms. Temporary periods of more settled conditions will occur. Nighttime, fair to partly cloudy conditions with a few showers. Please note, in the event of heavy showers and thunderstorms, gusty winds and street or flash flooding are possible. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 33 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 29 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines at 7 o'clock, Cabinet agrees to a recommendation to resume the forex window at the Exim Bank for essential imports. The opposition claims the government's forex distribution policies are designed to enrich its financiers and friends. Attorney Kareem Marcel to present himself as a nominee for the Laventille West constituency for the PNM. Quincy Jones, giant of U.S. music, dies at the age of 91, and Donald Trump and Kamala Harris to make final sprint across key states on last day of election campaign. I'm Avril Sindhill-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon, and there is an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Avi, for our major news. You can join her again, come at 8 o'clock for our news brief, and then again at noon alongside Sir Charles for major news at noon. Traffic-wise, I got no issues to tell you about. Where you think you're going to get traffic, you will get traffic this morning. As Evie said, it's a warm one already, 29 degrees. All right, let's see. On our morning poll, do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West? We got some other votes here. I got Tyrone in New Jersey saying no. I have, let's see, Nikki Lane saying no. Kenny in Harlem saying yes. CJ in New York saying no. No. All right. All right. That's all the votes I've got. So let's get the results.
Were they only yes votes that you just said?
No, I think I have one yes. That came from Tyrone said no. Somebody said yes. No to the poll. Kenny in Harlem said yes. One yes, yes.
Yeah, but Nikki Lane saying no and CJ saying no, you know.
I have that. I said that already.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you had by the poll this morning, do you think MP Fitzgerald Hines will be chosen to continue representing Laventille West? Well, you had 37 people voting on the poll this morning, and of the 37 people, 32 of you said no. You don't think he'll be chosen. Of course, 5 of you said yes. He will be chosen.
Of course, our poll is going to stay up on our mobile app and on our website till tomorrow morning when we'll give you the final votes. All right, so go up to our mobile app, which you should have by now. It's on every platform, and vote.
Other MPs are going to get a comeuppance in these nomination issues. Watch and see. Other MPs will get a comeuppance. But my recommendation is for some of them to simply, they served long, they served well, they served hard, they are senior. Let the party win and go into the Senate, because they are still very good ministers. There are a couple of them who are still very good ministers and who can still serve. That's my recommendation. Oh, but we have our guest. Oh, my apologies.
Yeah. And let's say good morning. Going out to Nigel M. What's the M for? Batiste.
Good morning. Good morning.
Republic Bank. Yes, good morning to you. How art thou? It's been a while.
Yes, it has. It has.
The M is for magic, Mr. Batiste. What magic are you working to continue to look so young? I haven't seen you in a long time.
The M is definitely not for magic, even though I think people would like the bankers to be magicians, especially when it comes to foreign currency.
Well, if you can wave something and send some foreign currency people away today, you'll be a hero, you know.
The M is for Mark, so it's definitely not magic.
Okay.
Mark. Okay, there we go. Now we know.
We'll mark today's date when we talk about forex. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
I saw a comment, Mr. Batiste. Let me just start off with this comment. I saw a comment associated with Vassan Bharat saying that the banks are hoarding foreign exchange. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think that's not correct. We are definitely not hoarding foreign exchange. And I believe someone should just ask themselves the question, why? Why does anybody do anything that they do? And if you ask yourself, why would the banks hoard foreign exchange? I will be interested to know what answers people come up with. We have no reason to hoard foreign exchange. Our customers' lifeblood is foreign exchange. Our lifeblood is foreign exchange. Why would we hoard it?
So there isn't a surplus of foreign exchange in any bank as we know it today.
There's no surplus of foreign exchange. I mean, I can't speak for every bank. Every bank would have their own position with respect to foreign exchange, but I see numbers kind of quarterly when we have quarterly meetings, at least with the central bank, that shows you the entire system. And if you look at the entire system, right, every bank is having challenges.
Mr. Batiste, good morning. What does that mean? By what percentage would you say the availability of forex has reduced in the last 2 to 3 years?
So I think we need to break it down. And so overall, the availability of foreign exchange from a supply perspective has probably been declining 10-15% every year. And there are two main sources of foreign exchange. There's the energy sector and there's the non-energy sector. The energy sector, as the public discourse would indicate, really comes from some of the major energy companies, and they would pay their taxes, part of their taxes in US dollars, and the government through the central bank would then kind of sell that to the system. I count all of that as being sourced by energy sector. And then you have the non-energy sector, which is the general public and the business community who export. That has actually declined even faster than the energy sector decline. The energy sector decline is largely because of prices and what has happened in Trinidad. I mean, we all know that. I'm not going to go into that. But the non-energy sector decline that I think is most alarming. And I guess individuals don't really see the point in selling to the commercial banking system anymore, not when there are attractive alternatives.
When you said earlier on that it declines by 10 to 15% every year, how long has that been going on?
Oh, that's been going on for a long time. That's been going on since I would say maybe before COVID. It's going on 2016, 2015. I'm trying to remember, but it goes back a long way.
what percentage would you say on average of the request for forex comes from the business community as opposed to individual citizens, and how is it distributed? Is there a particular regime that's used in terms of that sort of ratio of allotment or availability?
Believe it or not, the individual citizens actually get the biggest chunk of all of the US that we have. And I know people wouldn't believe it, right? But the individuals get the biggest chunk. And that is because, now I should say individual/business, right? And that's because of the credit cards. People utilize their credit cards, right, to the maximum amount possible every month.
Well, this question is now opportune based on what you just said. What informs or who informs that an individual traveling to the United States and proving that they are traveling only gets $240 US from a bank?
Cash.
In cash.
Okay.
Yeah, in cash.
Because those individuals also have their own credit cards, which they can utilize. So let's be clear about that. But what actually informs the cash allocation that people are able to get is the fact that I just mentioned. A lot of individuals no longer sell US dollars to the banking system. A long time ago, and I'm talking about pre-2015, 2016, whenever, a long time ago, individuals would regularly come in and sell cash over the counter to the commercial banks. Trinidad and Tobago doesn't generate US cash. US cash really and truly comes from the US. And so the way the commercial banking system gets US cash is when individuals sell their cash to the banks. If individuals are not selling cash to the banks, then how the banks get cash is you have to ship cash in from our correspondent banks abroad. And over the last 15, 20 years, correspondent banks have become very wary when it comes to shipment of cash. And that's because the whole world global banking system has become much more alert when it comes to money laundering and what have you. And they always ask questions about the amount of cash being used. So you have, there are a lot of parameters that are now put in place for the shipment of cash and the purchase of cash, right, from our correspondent banks. And it's also very expensive. So if you are relying primarily on local individuals who would either get cash because they went away, they bought something, they had the cash, they bring the cash back, right? And normally people wouldn't hold on to the cash. People would come in the banking system and sell the cash. And the banks used to always, I mean, for those of you who would recall, we always bought cash at a much lower price than we bought regular drafts or what have you, because there was so much cash that was coming in, and you just had to store the cash in a vault. You couldn't really ship that cash abroad. So cash always attracted a lower figure. But now we have no cash. So if we have no cash, and individuals are coming into the bank and say, well, I want some cash in order for me to go abroad, we have to regulate the amount of cash that we give that we give to anyone person.
Yeah. So is the assumption being made then, and I'm interpreting this based on what you just said, that people have enough access to cash outside of the banking system that the banks need to just give them $240?
And I'm not making that assumption. What I'm saying is that how the banks don't have access to a set of cash. And so therefore, we have to regulate the cash. And in our case, right, we don't have US cash stored at all of our branches. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. So we tend to have a central location that we have US cash. And we try to regulate it outside there because it's really not in supply. I mean, we are not a US cash generating country.
You said that you gave a less rate for the US exchange in comparison to drafts, etc., because you have to store it and stuff like that. Because of the less cash being handed over the counter, have the banks increased that rate to be a bit more attractive?
No, because Richard, because when we get the cash, any cash that we get, we still have nothing to do with it. It's not like TT dollars, where you take it, you could go, you can lend it, you put it back in the central bank, right? It meets some of your reserves. So I mean, yes, you could try and bid it up and say, okay, fine, well, let me try and get more cash by pushing the price up. But even if I push the price up, I can't go beyond a certain price. and that price that I go on is set, right, by the central bank. And once you are a financial institution that the central bank is selling US dollars to, okay, then you are limited in how far you could go in terms of purchasing US dollars, and that places the banks, right. I mean, I would use the word disadvantage, but I'm using the word disadvantage guardedly, okay, because we get a lot of US from the central bank. The central bank sells about 100 million US to the banking system every month, and we would be nowhere without that, okay. But we are at a disadvantage when it comes to other people who could go and attract the cash, right, and other money, right, from individuals.
Now, one of the things I wanted to find out, Mr. Batiste, is, but you just answered the question. You said the central bank sends 100 million US dollars to the banking sector every month. Now, there would be others. Would there be other sources of US to the banking sector in addition to that?
Yeah. So our other sources would be, the same energy sector companies who don't pay their taxes in US dollars. They pay part of it, and then the other part they pay in TT dollars. Those same companies, they sell to the banking system. There are other corporates who would sell to the banking system. And I still feel there are probably a couple of individuals who would sell. And they would fall into that category of non-energy.
So how much in addition to that 100 million US, the central bank is pumping into the system every month? How much US? Because you said you saw quarterly reports from other banks on occasion.
No, I see quarterly reports that show the overall position. So that is like if people have more or less than what the demand is. I don't see the actual amount that the individual banks have. So
you wouldn't have a sense, or you maybe to tell us, Republic Bank, how much US passes through the system every month? Would you know that? Would you have a sense of what that is?
I wouldn't have that sense. I could tell you proportions. So in terms of proportions right now, in terms of what the central bank sells to us, they sell about 100. I think the last number I saw for the overall bank purchase, 100 makes it about a 1 point something billion dollars a year. I think we have $4 or $5 billion that actually comes through
US dollars a year.
US.
Do you think the public also understands? Because I know Wendell and Richard asked about cash, but when people purchase stuff with their credit cards, for example, on Amazon, it still has to be paid in US dollars.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if the public understands it. I think large chunks of the public probably do understand it. I don't know if everybody does, but I believe enough understand, and maybe those listening to this program will maybe get a better understanding when we finish as well.
Will you hold like others and describe what is happening with forex US as a crisis?
I would say it's a crisis. It's a crisis. Certainly from the perspective of those who believe that they're entitled to US dollars, and as a result of that entitlement should get any amount of US dollars that they would like. But we are not a US dollar generating country.
So based on the fact that you've agreed or stated that you consider what we are experiencing a crisis, how can we
solve this from the perspective of the individuals?
Okay, but how can we solve that crisis? Because I know that credit cards have also been limited, and it's been over a period of time it's been going down even more. So the access to US for a lot of people have shrunk. How do we fix this crisis?
Okay, so I want to call it a challenge, right? I say crisis. I accepted that it is a crisis from a number of different people's perspective, but I believe it's a challenge first. Okay, and we have to go back to economics, and the question of supply and demand. So let me start by saying I 100% agree with the minister that there should be no devaluation. I don't think a devaluation of our currency is going to achieve anything. Okay, so we need to go to the fundamentals of it, which is a supply issue and a demand issue. I just alluded to the fact that we cannot compete. The banking system cannot compete, okay, with the outside of the banking system sources of demand, right, for FX, who are able to offer any price, right, that the market, any price. They offer $7.50, $8, $8.50, right, call your number. once you're willing to sell it to them, they can offer any price. And we need to understand who those players are, and there's no secret as to who those players are, and see how do you address those players, right? What can be done to, in fact, reduce that demand that is outside there and who's willing to pay anything. Okay, I think that's the first step. If you're able to combat that successfully, then all of these people who were using those channels to get their US dollars sold, whether it be cash or otherwise, will now come back to the banking system. And come back to the banking system and sell the US dollar to the banking system, and then make it more generally available to everyone else who wants it.
How should someone who has started a US account, and I'm using hypotheticals here, has put 50,000 US into an account at whatever institution, and is being told that they put 50,000, they got it wherever they got it, and they put it in the system, and they're being told on one hand that they can only get X amount a month, and on the other hand that they only have access to 2,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 a month through their credit card when they put 50,000 in an account to use when they want. How do you reconcile that as a banker?
Okay, so we have to make sure that we're not conflating things here. So if they put $50,000 into an account that they have with the bank, okay, they could withdraw that $50,000 anytime they want. They can't withdraw it in cash because, as I just said, the banking system may not have cash, okay? But if they came to the bank and said, I wanted to wire $50,000 from my US dollar account to my friend's account in Bank of America in New York, they could wire that $50,000.
So they have the 50,000 US in value.
Right, but so hang on, let me just finish, right? So that's why I say let's not conflate things. So on the one hand, they have their 50,000, and they could send their 50,000 to anybody who they want to send their 50,000 to. They can't take out cash because the bank may not have cash to give them, but they can send the money. When they're using their credit card, they're not drawing down their 50,000. When they're using their credit card, what they're doing is they're drawing down their TT dollar balances. And so if they use $5,000 on their credit card, at the end of the month, when that credit card is being paid, their 50,000 that they have on deposit in the bank is not being impacted. That is staying where that is. And the 5,000 that they have drawn on their credit card by buying Amazon, traveling, whatever they have done, okay? And if they want to clear the entire figure, they are actually using the TT that they have and clearing that 5,000. And they still have their 50,000 in their US account sitting down somewhere, all right?
Let's not
mix up the two.
Let me add to that hypothetical question that Paul just asked, Mr. Batiste. So if I have 50,000...
Was my answer clear, first of all, before I...
Yes, it was clear.
Yes, it was clear. It was clear. But here the other part of it. If I have $50,000, I deposited $50,000 into Bank A. And for some reason here, I want to get back my $50,000 in cash because I feel that I need it right away, or I can get a better exchange rate if I withdraw my cash and sell it to someone. Why can't I do that? You just said that I can't take back the $50,000 in cash.
Because see, Wendell, what happened, as I said, I mean, we don't have the cash. So let's just say you came and you walked with a bag of cash. Wherever you got it from, nobody. Well, the bank will probably ask the question, but let's just say somehow or the other you were able to get over that hurdle, and you deposited $50,000 in cash at the bank. Okay, that $50,000 in cash comes into the bank. Okay, you actually when your $50,000 is credited to your account, and this is why I said it's very costly for the bank because we put that $50,000 right in a vault. Let's just say, but really our account at our correspondent bank for you is where that $50,000 sits down. So that if you did come the following day and say you wanted to transfer the money to your friend's account in Bank of America, we would debit our account and transfer the money across because we can't take the $50,000 in cash and put somebody on a plane and carry it across the Bank of America for you. We have to transfer the $50,000, right? That was already sitting down in a correspondent account somewhere, and move that across to your friend's account. So that 50,000 could go that way. But let's say the 50,000 that you have sitting down now in a vault inside of Republic Bank. When that goes into the vault in Republic Bank, it no longer becomes your cash per se, because we have credited a ledger account, and your money could then move electronically anywhere. So that cash is the cash that will still be utilized if somebody came and wanted a $200, and all it took was 1,000 people come in and they wanted $200 or $50, and that 50,000 that you have deposited would just be spread. So that's why the cash is not available to you again. But you could get the money, you get the value, because we could wire the money anywhere that you want the money wired. It's just the cash.
Well, that's what I was saying. The value of your money is still there, but you don't have the cash. There are two things I want to talk about before we end.
But let me just make sure Wendell understood what I just said. Wendell, that you understood that the value of the money was still there, but it's the cash.
I understand in terms of the value, but what I'm trying to get from you is that if I deposited 50,000 TT in cash, I can go the next day and get back my TT, not so?
Yeah, but Trinidad TT economy. Another TT dollar economy, right? And we have all kind of cash. I mean, the banking system has any amount of cash sitting inside of our board, because people are coming and going with TT dollars on a daily basis. We are not a US dollar economy. Trinidad is not dollarized.
But do people actually understand that, Mr. Batiste, what you just explained? Because I don't think a lot of people do.
Do you understand it, Wendell?
I understand it. I understand it.
Let's give other people the credit as well. I'm sure they understand it too.
Okay.
Why is it so onerous now to open a bank account?
You're talking about general bank account now?
Yeah.
Any bank account?
For the average citizen, you're getting more and more convinced about how onerous it is to open a bank account.
I think he's talking about a regular bank account.
A regular bank account.
You need this, you need that.
So we're going off the US dollars. Okay, so yes, that has been another challenge. I don't know. So basically, it's the requirements, right? It's the identification requirements that the banking system has, and it varies. I know in some cases we would want two forms of identification. We need proof of address, right? In the case of a business, you also need to understand the nature of the business that is being done, so that you understand the source of the funds that will be coming into the account. Even for the individual, you need to understand the source of the funds that will be coming into their account. So you need the proof of employment. But it's all a question about
so you have to be employed. So what about and some people tell you that, well, I'm not employed, but so why can't you have a bank account if you're not employed?
I mean, you do. I mean, people do have bank accounts, and it kind of makes it a little bit ticklish, right? Because, different people treat with it a little bit differently. But there are a number of people, like, for example, I mean, single mother housewives, they can open an account. Sometimes it's a little ticklish because, where the source of the money come in, the money really is coming, from maybe allocation I would get from my spouse or what have you. And you need some kind of evidence of that. But it's all in combat of money laundering. It's all in protecting all the bona fide people who open their accounts, because the one thing that we don't want to happen, Paul, is we don't want a situation where a couple of bad apples, right, infect the entire barrel. And so you have so many people who are opening accounts and doing bona fide business with it. If you have a couple of not so bona fide, and depending on how much of a profile they generate, it could in fact tarnish the entire system. Even though
I know there's CFATF regulations that the banks must adhere to.
Pardon?
There's CFATF and FATF regulations that the banks are being asked to comply with in terms of accounts and monies being transferred from accounts and stuff like that. So I know it's a lot of international legal, particularly with correspondence banking.
Yeah, correct.
Isn't that our qualifying criteria to open a bank account is similar to what other countries have, or we are a little bit more onerous because of the money laundering issues?
Sometimes I think we're a little bit more onerous, Richard, right? Because I get stories about people able to open accounts in the US and they even have to go through half the hoops right? That we have to go through. But it's go Paul and see Paul, I guess, right? Because in some of those developed countries, somebody obviously holding them to a different standard to the standard that we are being held to.
Is the campaign against money laundering working?
I think so. I think so. I believe that contrary to what I've seen reported, and we can have a long conversation, that contrary to what I say, there's not a lot, right, of illicit money flowing through our system.
That is not what the reports from the Financial Action Task Force is saying, with thousands of red flagged and other flagged transactions every year. So that I don't know that is
well. That's why I said contrary, Paul, right? Because thousands maybe, but we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of transactions that go through our banking system every year. So thousands need to be put into perspective. And then where you have red flags, and I know sometimes people, again, because the bank has reported a suspicious transaction, people put it up in the headlines and say, okay, fine, well, that's evidence of the fact that there is the money laundering. But not all suspicious transactions are, in fact, money laundering transactions. And there are, I would dare say, sadly, some money laundering transactions that don't get flagged as being suspicious. So I think we need to be very careful in terms of drawing conclusions based on some of the information that we see. And I always prefer to work in relative numbers than in absolute numbers. We have hundreds of thousands, millions of transactions going through our system every year.
How much emphasis is being placed to Republic Bank's credit? I think Republic Bank has a balance between online and counter services, which is not the same for other banks, unfortunately, who are pushing customers more to online. When some customers, and I understand they move to push online because it's safer in a lot of ways, there's more accountability. But what are your thoughts on the banking sector's push to move most of their transactions and services online?
I think it's inevitable. It's very just the pace at which it happens. So Republic Bank is taking a more measured approach, but it's inevitable. I mean, the convenience of doing the online transactions. I mean, we're doing this thing virtually, and the last time I was there, I came into your studios. The convenience of the online transaction, right? It's where the world is going. Just really how fast and how long it takes you to get there. So I understand it. We are taking a more measured kind of approach, but it's inevitable.
That's a clever use of using Power 102 as an example, Mr. Batiste.
Why does it? I mean, Nigel, I'm sure we've asked this before, but why does it take 4 days for banks to clear a check, even if it's a check on their own bank, in their own banking system? A Republic Bank check issued by somebody, and often banks, because you could do ACH, you could go do an ACH transaction and it will happen within a day. Why do checks take so long?
And so therefore, Richard, you should do the ACH transaction rather than do the check, since the ACH could go in a day. And I'll tell you the main reason. The main reason, and the 4 days is like just because, quite frankly. And the main reason is fraud. Right? So even if it's a Republic Bank check that came into an account of another Republic Bank customer, it doesn't mean that the drawer of the check, the person who supposedly wrote the check, doesn't come afterwards and say, oh, no, I didn't do that. Right? That actually is a forge. My signature has been forged. My check leaf was stolen. Right? So really, the period of time that we have of 4 days was really just to give us enough time to make sure that how this thing was not a fraudulent transaction. The reality is that 4 days is even not sufficient for that, okay? Because somebody could come back afterwards. People say, well, I didn't realize, I didn't check online and see how this thing had been debited. It's only when I got my statement or something like that I realized. So, I mean, and the bank would only call to validate for amounts above a certain figure. So it's really for fraud that the bank like that period of time, because we think that how it gives a chance for our client to say that, oh, no, I didn't do that, and so we could then stop, right, the transaction from being fully completed. So we would always encourage people, do the ACH. You could do ACH. You could do electronic transfers. All the banks now allowing transfers from one bank to another bank. You have so many ways of doing the thing that would not involve a check, which somebody could come afterwards and say was fraudulent. Somebody come afterwards.
I
didn't get whatever value I was supposed to get for it, so stop that item.
Yeah.
Now,
just have one more question, and this is just me personally as a Republic Bank customer. Why Republic Bank hasn't upgraded their ATM machines rather than the tug of war with my card going into the innards of a machine and coming back out? Why you all haven't upgraded to simply tapping?
Okay, we have upgraded some. I mean, we have about 15 branches so far that those machines are actually contactless. They're mostly off-site ones at the moment, and we have a plan to kind of we have over 100 and something ATMs in Trinidad. So yes, we have capital, right? But I mean, even if we would just go tomorrow, Richard, and say how I'm going to replace all my 100 and something machines, the capacity to be able to do it is not going to happen in a year, because there's people, there's technology, you have to get the machine, you have to test it. So we have a plan where we are rolling out and we are replacing like about 20 or 25 machines every year. So we did about 15, I believe, between last year, maybe either between 23 and first part of 24, right? We have another 20 or 25 that we go in and replace. So over time, we're replacing all those machines. I mean, they'll be contactless, right? They'll be envelope-less, right? Yeah.
Well, at least they updated the interface recently, so
it's a
little faster in terms of moving. Now, Christmas is coming, and in the last couple of months, Mr. Batiste, we've seen the unfortunate phenomenon of persons, particularly elderly people, leaving the banks. And I know the Banking Association has advised taking out large sums of cash, but do you think banks are doing enough to protect customers and to thwart the issue of people getting robbed? And in addition to that, have banks run investigations, because there are accusations or allegations, none that I've seen them substantiated, that maybe bank workers are aiding and abetting criminals and providing information?
Yeah, so let me answer the second part of the question first. So we had the same allegation. We see it in the papers, you know. I mean, the Ford squad come to us, the police come to us, right? We cooperate fully. We have cameras all over the bank, right? So we're able to see, right? And the only way that could really be facilitated, if it was our staff who were doing something, would be that the staff would have to make a call with their cell phone to somebody or the other. So we have done any amount of investigations, and they've all come up nil. Right? So
are tellers allowed to have their phones with them?
No, right? Okay. Well, they have their phones with them, but they're not allowed to use it. Okay? I mean, people have their phone in their bag or whatever. But so I mean, they're going to put your head on a block, right, for everybody. But I am 99% certain, okay, that our employees are not the source, right, of the challenge that we are having. So that's the answer to the second part. The first part, I mean, have banks done enough? As you said, I mean, the Bankers Association continue to discuss it. We continue to explore, say, what else could we do, right? We put up a sign. We try to encourage people not to take out the cash. We try to put large transactions in a more secluded kind of an area. People tend to say, okay, fine, I could hear the
money comes
the machine, the sound of the machine. I mean, they obviously have much more tuned ears than I, because I hear the machine, but I have no idea what's taking place there. But Paul, I mean, we will continue to see what it is more that we can do, right? To try and if we can't stop the individuals, which we seem powerless to be able to stop people from taking out the large amount of cash, right? So that means how people will continue to do it. If we can't stop it, what else is possible? And we have the banking system, the Banking Association. We have an operational fraud committee, and they meet. They look at all the different trends. They kind of come up, and I think we have some very good people on that committee. The heads of all the operational fraud areas in the banks, you know, and they kind of brainstorm and come up with something, right, or different things that they would like the banks to try, and we do it. Right?
I'll tell you my observation.
Enough, but I will tell you that we continue to see how we could improve.
I'll tell you my observation, Mr. Batiste.
Hang on 1 second. Is it that the security inside the banks look at individuals that be lingering around
That's where I was going, Steve.
Yeah.
Because Mr.
Yeah, I mean,
Batiste,
So you've heard that.
yeah,
Have
most
people
of the
inside the
banks now,
bank look out for that fella in a blue shirt coming out. I just hear the machine making a set of noise. He have plenty cash.
Yeah,
here
so
where I'm going with this. Most of the banks now, they don't have you go straight into a line. They come in, you come in and you pull a number, or you go to a machine and you select what type of business you're there for. So inevitably, you go and sit and wait for your number to be called. I think people are taking advantage of that and sitting in banks, waiting and watching other people. That's what I think. I don't know how, because security now would be unguarded, because they are really just directing people to the machines or to the system where you pull a number, and they don't monitor people when they go and sit down. And I think that is being taken advantage of. That's my humble opinion.
Okay, well, I can comment on your opinion, but I could say from a Republic Bank perspective, we still have the traditional kind of a teller system, where you kind of go into the teller area. And our guards are observant about anybody that might seem to be lingering, right, with no obvious reason.
Yeah. All right.
So
it's always worrying when someone takes out money and they walk out, and you always hear, for example, last one we heard $30,000, 50,000 elderly people taking out money. You always wonder how they know.
And I will go back, Steve, to the reason that somebody is taking out so much money, right? And who else knew that the person would have needed to take out that amount of money at that particular point in time?
Yeah, it could be internal. It could
what
be their
kinds
own
of
family
innovations can we expect from Republic Bank in the coming months?
What kind
What
of?
will surprise us? Innovations.
Well, you don't expect me to answer that question quite honestly, Paul. I mean, it's competitive. We live in a very competitive financial system. I mean, the banks compete very aggressively, and we have excellent competitors in Trinidad, right, and Tobago. So I'm not going to show our hand.
But I'm sure that
we have a loan campaign. We have a loan campaign taking place right now.
You could break some news.
Pardon?
I'm sure that you're so far in terms of planning and deployment that you could drop a bomb on them right now and say Republic Bank.
No, I don't drop a bomb on anybody. Let it explode while it was in your hands. But I mean, the main thing that we are doing right now is we have a Christmas loan campaign. There are a lot of innovation that the team involved in that are doing on a weekly basis. I mean, I think you would have seen some of the innovative ways that we are trying to approach the agricultural sector and the SME sector. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to generate more entrepreneurship inside of Trinidad and Tobago, and a lot of energy is being spent in that direction.
Well, I think you also need to be commended
being done on the digital side
for your Power to Make a Difference program, which you have consistently invested heavily in, and you invest in a lot of corporate social responsibility initiatives. Child abuse and youth focus initiatives that you've consistently championed. So that is very commendable, and we want to commend you to continue that.
Well, thank you, and that will continue.
Mr. Batiste, on a personal note, can you all fix the issue of your credit card or your statements, especially the Republic Bank online statements regarding the credit cards? Because a lot of times, if you're owing on your US side and you have excess on your TT side, the banks, you have to actually go into your system to get your US side paid, as opposed to it being an automatic payment so that it balances off. I don't know, that system frustrates me. Your statement on credit cards, it frustrates me no end.
No, but I tell you, Wendell, I mean, I know you say it frustrates you, but it was done that way really because that was the preference of the majority of customers. I mean, you assume that everybody wants to automatically move whatever they have on the TT side over to the US side. I mean, in practice, that has not been our experience. Right?
Okay.
People actually want to decide, right, what happens with their money. So we never really took it for granted that we would automatically, right, move money from one side to the other side. We left that up to the client. Now, I do understand where you're coming from, and you say it could be frustrating. But with our new online system, you actually could pay both sides simultaneously. So there's really nothing too much there for us to fix. Right?
Yeah.
But people want the discretion, whereas I think in other institutions, it automatically goes across and everything is in TT, right? At whatever rate the financial institution decides, right? we left it for the person, right? So the person could actually decide. And since the rate kind of, there's not a lot of volatility in the rate, but it does move a little 1 cent here, 1 cent there, right? People could decide when they want to pay whatever side they want to pay.
Yeah. Okay. That's the only thing that like, I'm a big Republic Bank fan, but that's the only thing that frustrates me. That issue, that credit card. But
understood.
Republic Bank has been good to me. And I think
does
I've been
Republic
good to them.
Bank, I mean, as we close up the interview, Nigel, does Republic Bank have any plans to reduce the U.S. allocation to credit cards?
No, we have no plans at this point in time. I mean, we reduced our allocation a year and a bit ago. Sometime I think it was in September last year. We reduced our credit card transactions. We never allowed the US dollar on the debit card, like what I saw Scotia recently had to kind of reduce and then eventually eliminate. So we have no current plans.
Any plans in bringing back the VTM cards?
So the VTM card, that was a technology issue. That was a platform issue. The platform is being revised, but bringing back the VTM cards now, it's kind of like in our discussions internally. Why would you bring back something when you know that there's already a problem on the US dollar side, and you're kind of bringing it back to give people more problems? So it's inside of there.
I thought it was a rhetorical question.
It's inside of that whole debate. But the platform
There's no such thing as a bad question, Paul.
I never said it was a bad question. I said it was a rhetorical question.
Thank you, Paul. Well said.
Yeah.
All right.
Nigel, thank you for your forthright answers.
Thank you so much for being with us.
You clarified so much for this morning, and we really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for the questions. And I just want to end with giving the assurance that nobody is hoarding US dollars. I saw one commentator make reference to there being some surplus reserves, something with assets and liabilities. I think maybe there needs to be a deeper analysis of the information, because I mean, as a practitioner in the field, I don't know where those numbers came from or that conclusion came from, but nobody is hoarding any US dollars.
All right.
Except maybe individuals. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Batiste, again.
Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a while. Don't be a stranger. Thank you so much. All the best to you.
Okay, all the best to you and the team as well, and to the general public. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the
right. Be safe.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So you'll have to send that little clip there for Mr. Vassan Bharat, who was Minister of Finance, Minister of Trade and Industry, Minister everything he was. And he is making a very bold statement that banks are hoarding forex.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Did you all just disappear off the platform?
No.
All right, so I just wanted to remind people that theaters on this weekend. Love is a Walk, the indisputable #1 play of 2024, is back on for a final 2 nights as we close off our theater season for 2024. So these are the final 2 shows in the theater by RSR Productions before we resume at the end of January in 2025. That's when we start back. So, of course, we close theater this weekend, Saturday at 8:30, Sunday at 6:30. Love is a Walk at Cipriani College, probably the most centralized theater of them all. That's where we're having the play. Of course, you can get your tickets all now at all the usual outlets. K-Squared Fashions, West Mall, East Gates, and Brentwood Mall in Chigonas. Electronics in Arima, Jabili Rawe in Tunapuna, and Tony's Florals in Valpark Shopping Plaza and Charfleur Auto Services in Charfleur. Of course, tickets will be on sale at the Cipriani College box office from Wednesday. You can also purchase your tickets online. There is an online methodology to accomplish that. You can check RSRR Productions Theater.
If you want to learn how to horn, go and watch that play. Richard is teaching you very well how to learn how to horn in that play. And forgive.
Have a great day. I'm going to sleep. Bye.
Get horn and forgive.
Love is a Walk this weekend, people. Do we have time to take a couple of calls, Steve?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have 6 minutes before the hour of 8 o'clock. I'm going to say 9. So we have a lot of calls. Good morning. Oops. Good morning.
Hello.
Morning. Good
Morning.
morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
You know, Paul, welcome back.
He's not back. He's in Australia.
Oh, okay. In Australia? Wow.
He's almost at midnight there.
Yeah, I know. I would like to go Australia, one of these Australia, New Zealand, whenever I want to travel that side of the world. I've been to China already. But anyway, you know something, Republic Bank, you see, I was listening to Mr. Batish now, and everything you're saying is like what is written on paper, right? But these things, some of these things are not really happening, you know. I have serious issues with Republic Bank. A bank that have been banking for more than 25 years, right? And like right now, I recently changed my phone and I can't do my online banking transactions because they say I'm using a wrong user word password. And it was going on good for the last 6 weeks, right? And I can't get in touch with Republic Bank from my phone to talk with somebody. You could never get through to anybody.
What number you call? I can give you a number right now.
Give me a number, please.
625-3617.
3617. Right. And
Yeah,
another
just Google it. You'll get a telephone number and a lovely operator will answer the phone. You'll actually think that it's a machine, but it's actually a person and they'll direct you.
All right. And my final question is this. Pre-COVID, I wanted to open a business account. And I went in person, gave me thing in writing, tell me to do it on from home. I tried doing that, tired. I went back so many times. Up to now, but not to them anyway. Up to now, I have never been given a date to come in to open a bank account with Republic. And a bank I've been banking with so long, I had to move to somebody else. You know? So sometimes I listen to him and I say, well, these things aren't true. Some of these things aren't true. You know what I mean? But I like Republic Bank. I still want a business bank account with them. And I'm not getting a simple thing as a date, you know, to come in. They say do it online. When you reach a certain place, you're stuck. You can't get you again. So, I don't know. I just, you know, find... Anyway, until tomorrow, please, God. Have a good day, y'all.
All right. I'll take one more call before we wrap up. I think Jamaica is in a hurricane watch. Is that it? Good morning.
Jamaica don't need...
tropical storm warning. Good morning, caller.
Morning. 2 points I'd like to make.
You have 45 seconds.
All right. Well, let me just say, Paul, Wendell, I know you're a wishful thinker, and you sent out thanks to the minister for listening to you all and making an intervention reference to the U.S. Unfortunately, Wendell, I know you have high hopes and high aspirations. That is not going to change the experience that the man on the ground have when he walks into the bank with a ticket to the United States for 2 weeks. That is not going to change his $240 that the bank is going to tell him he's allotted for that trip.
You may be very right.
That may probably change Massey's experience and Toyota's experience. But me and you, I don't know so much about your experience. That is not going to change our experience in the bank when we want to travel. Right?
I do exactly what other people doing. People selling US, I buy it from them. That's what I do.
From them. And reference what the guy who the owner of FCB turned me off with this first statement that he made when you asked him the question to talk about the people who get in $240 have the alternative with the credit card. He's fast and out of place.
Well, not everybody has a credit card. I think we pointed that out too.
And I'm disappointed that you didn't challenge him on that. Right? To make the statement that people have the option of credit card, that's why they get $240.
But he was very clear that the bank does not have the cash.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I understand.
That ultimately, the bank can't give what it doesn't have.
I understand that, but he also made a statement that the people who get in $240 have the option of using a credit card, and not everybody have a credit card. Most people on the ground don't have a credit card.
Which may be a reason for bringing back the VTM card.
And that was a question that was sent to me, but in my mind, it was the same thing because there are requirements to get a credit card, and a lot of people don't meet those requirements.
So that does not meet the requirements. Exactly. So he turned me off with that first statement. I didn't want to hear him anymore with that foolishness. Well, have a good day, gentlemen.
All right.
Allow me this contribution.
All right. Thank you, pal. Let's wrap it up for this Monday, gentlemen.
All right, folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. I clean forgot about birthdays today, but if you are celebrating a birthday, have an absolutely wonderful day.
Yeah, so have a fantastic day. I see you put on your dreadlocks.
Yeah,
Have a fantastic day, people, whatever it is that you do. And remember that theater is on this weekend. And of course, it's the final 2 performances for 2024. And you should not miss it. Trust me, Love is a Walk is a great first play to see if you've never been to theater in your life. It will be an experience for you to see Love is a Walk.
Seriously, Richard, do I look good if I had a ras? Do I look good?
All right, this is where we have to go.
Do I look good?
Go on OnlyFans and see if you make money now.
See if you make $67 million in 3 years.
Bye-bye.
All right, gentlemen, we'll chat tomorrow morning. All right. All right, let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief. Evie's in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
This is news to 8 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. It's time for your update. I'm Avril Cynthia Bob. Good morning. Cabinet agreed to a recommendation from the Minister of Finance, Colm Imbert, at its regular weekly meeting recently to resume the forex window at the Exim Bank for essential imports created by the ministry in 2020 in response to an urgent and critical need during the COVID-19 pandemic to be resumed in a restructured format. There is no U.S. cash in supply. Once you are a financial institution that the central bank sells cash to, you are limited with how much you can secure. This is according to Republic Bank Limited's Nigel Batiste, who spoke on the Power Breakfast show this morning. He explained that the central bank sells approximately $4 or $5 billion to the banks. He said he does not think the public understands what happens with the banks in terms of forex. He lamented the fact that there are those who believe they should be entitled to how much ever forex they desire without fully understanding that TNT is not a U.S. generating country. He said he agrees with the finance minister there should be no devaluation of the dollar. He also maintained that there should be a balance in supply and demand. Oropouche West Member of Parliament Dave Tangu claims the government's forex distribution policies are designed to enrich its financiers and friends at the expense of small and medium businesses and common people. And attorney Kareem Marcel plans to present himself as a nominee for the Laventille West constituency for the People's National Movement. Marcel said he decided to enter the race for the Laventille West constituency after Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley urged young people to step forward and take responsibility for the nation. Well, that was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, it is 3 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on this Monday, the 4th day of November. And let's say good morning going out to Dennise Demming.
Good morning, Steve, and thank you very much for having us here. I see Brian Copeland is us, but I'm not seeing that he turned on his camera.
Chairman.
Brian, please.
Hi, morning. You heard all that racket.
Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Welcome to my
Dennise Demming. All the best. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. And Brian, you were saying welcome to what?
My cave.
Your cave.
Yes, this is where I do all my dirty work. So I'm sorry, it's always a mess.
It's where you do all your dirty work.
All my dirty work. It's always a mess.
I don't know you to be someone who does dirty work. I know you to be someone who has made a significant contribution to our society and continues to do so. So it's not dirty work.
My getting my hands dirty. So
okay, that's different.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Mine went somewhere else.
Okay, I brought it back. I brought it back to what we are talking about. And I'm Dennise Demming, the host of Power Conversations on a Monday and Wednesday from 8 a.m. We spend time digging deeper into issues that are impacting our country. Our guest this morning is Dr. Brian Copeland as an Emeritus difference. Brian, are you there? Okay, so I want to start the conversation by asking you a strange question. What is something you enjoy doing that might surprise people?
Okay, this is surprise, not necessarily humorous, right? So,
Not necessarily, just surprise.
okay, if you're going humorous, I'd say peanut butter and anything. But okay, so I spend a lot of my time doing it's pro bono consultancy in sound system installation. So actually it's consumed a lot of my time of late. My focus has been, I'm a Roman Catholic, so my focus has been on Roman Catholic Church. Actually recently we just, I'm actually in the midst of one, but my most recent projects are 3 of the heritage sites in Trinidad and Tobago. So the one in Tortuga, which is a lovely place, you should go visit it if you have not. That one, if you go there, you could see everything from La Brea on the left, and you swing around, you get to the docks in Port of Spain, the whole, almost the whole western seaboard of Trinidad and Tobago. I've just completed St. Francis at Belmont, which was dormant for 15 years and recently reopened. And currently St. Joseph, RC at St. Joseph is going through some refurbishment. And we just completed the design is there, and I think they're doing installations now. But I do that type of consulting, and I actually have 2 students now that just joined me in engineering, and they're actually looking at the sound systems at UWI, just to see if we can update it and so on, to the main auditorium as well. So that's where a lot of my time is spent these days. So I don't know if that's a surprise or what, but I used to be a DJ, so it just carried over into that, essentially.
The conversation we anticipated about sound systems. I find that all we get is high volume. I do not get, whenever I travel, whenever I go abroad, the way I hear the sound is a little more circular, and I don't feel as if, oh gosh, this is interfering with my heart. So I don't understand why our sound systems just seem to focus on volume.
Yes, we like hard pong. So so heavy bass, and it could affect your heart. I've known of one case in my life where somebody's heart got into some serious problems and effect. That's in Madeline because of the very heavy bass. Most times people don't pay attention to sound in terms of the very, very fine detail. So in the church setting, the key there is intelligibility. Speech intelligibility. You can get the music and everything, and to get that, it's extremely important because the human brain works in a very strange way when sound comes in. It's designed to understand speech. So without getting too technical, if it's not done right and you allow the building to dominate, so you get a lot of reverberation and echoes and so on, and I call it overhang, especially on the low end. What happens afterwards is the brain gets tired of trying to figure out what is being said. That is what happens. So you actually get mental fatigue without even knowing it. And that affects intelligibility as well. So a lot of my challenges have been for people saying, when I go to a site and I ask, well, what's the problem? They say, well, so-and-so can't hear, so-and-so can't hear. Well, sometimes the equipment is old as well. And you can put in any decent equipment in it. The key to it is putting the speakers in the right place. So we actually do simulation. You want a good job done, you have to draw the space out, computer drawings that is. You don't have to be super detailed, but you need to know everything about the height, the width, the breadth, what materials are being used, where people seated and so on. And that the simulation tool will actually help to show you where are the areas you you will get extremely good intelligibility, and where you will not. You can actually, in the tool that I use, you could actually change the speakers. So speaker manufacturers have all given their specs to this company, and so I could choose a XYZ model, whatever, and hang it up, turn it upside down, position it anywhere in the space, and I could look to see how it's quote unquote radiating the space. And then when it's all put together, theoretically, I could say, okay, I have a good design. Of course, the proof is when you hit the ground, you have to make adjustments, but at least you have a very good guess, a good attempt at solving the problem. Now, with that, you're not going to get all that noise coming out. There are limits that are set by OSH in terms of how loud noise could be and for how long, right? That exists, just that nobody really checks it per se. So it's always part of my specification. Of course, it absolves me from problems if somebody sues, but as I told them to. But generally, you have the sound level must be uniform, and then key thing is intelligibility, and there are measures for intelligibility that need to be used. So the whole thing about going down by the nearby store to buy a speaker and you stick it in the space and you put some microphones on, you'll get sound. But if you really want to capture the audience, right, or the congregation, as the case may be, you have to do the design just right. I've seen too many cases where we failed in that regard.
Yeah. I'm amazed by what you're talking about, because especially coming up Carnival, what I just hear is the volume. What you have just described is an approach to it that ensures that the audience actually listens, and or is that used by the people who do sound in this country?
Yeah.
Is that typical?
Yeah, it is. It is. I should have mentioned that after you take 2 beers, it all sounds the same. So, in a FET scenario, you can't go in a FET scenario and not expect it to be loud. So what I normally do, well, in my days when I used to go, is find the quieter spots. I'm not going to go where the bass is contributing, so I'll go there because I enjoy a nice deep bass, right? As well. But I don't want it damaging my body and my hearing at the same time. So I tend to find the spots that are not too loud. There are some states in the states that are insisting that DJs use a particular speaker layout that focuses the sound inside the space, so it doesn't, affect the neighbors. And I could tell you, the Brian Lara Promenade is actually about 1.5 miles from me, but I know when there's a FET going on there. I've had, wares rattle and so on, and it's 1.5 miles away. But and I couldn't imagine what's happening to the people inside of the space. But after a while, either they get more deaf or they just get used to it and it lives on, So my mother was an eye, ear, nose, and throat nurse, so I know pretty much about people losing hearing. All right, so
recently, I was in Chagaramas, and a mile away from where I was, there was a DJ, and I could hear that DJ that was a mile away. And what is that? Chagaramas is still a very beautiful place, still has a lot of nature. And, the little monkeys, I don't know how they would respond to that sound.
Yeah.
So that was a concern of mine.
It disturbs the environment. And it's almost a weapon. People use sound as a weapon. So you could, through the right frequency and the right intensity, you could break glass but do more. You can actually disturb the human being as well, in ways that you can't even fathom, right? But so there needs to become some sort of licensing, and I think the laws with respect to OSH, well, really the implementation with respect to the limits that OSH imposes needs to be a little bit more strict. It's easy for sound to get away even from an experienced operator. Somebody goes and screams into a mic. You can put restrictions in the system to stop it from overdriving it, but sometimes it gets away from you, and it could be a temporary period when it's very loud. Well, luckily the specs actually allow for time and intensity. So I think it's like 9. Well, forget. ignore the technology, the terminology, but 95 dB, that's how we measure the loudness over 2 hours, for example. It would say something like that. I think I quoted it correctly. When you get up to the hundreds, which is where these guys with the sound system and their cars, they have their sound off and their competition, they're to 125, which is actually the threshold of pain. Threshold of pain. Yeah. That is where that is. But they want to see who could play the loudest. The trucks on Carnival Day, well, they try to project, so they go very, very loud. Very, very inefficient design, but it also stirs up competition. So would you believe a couple of the top companies in the world have come down to see how we use systems on the trucks for Carnival? And they go back up, yes, and modify their designs because it's hot temperature, right? It's very, very humid and it's going all day, right? So especially the speakers and amplifiers, the other parts are not power hungry, but those which carry enough power to light up a small village on the truck, right? Those systems, I've seen JBL, which is a big manufacturer out there down here, and I think Bose paid a couple of visits in the past. I stand to be corrected on that one, but they have come down to look at how the systems are being used. Yeah, so there's always something involved.
This is absolutely amazing, you know, and I really appreciate this conversation because I have this issue with sound, you know, and what you're saying is that there is the technology behind it and there are ways we can do it so that it becomes a little more acceptable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Thank you
otherwise,
ever so much.
You'll have to stay home, otherwise than that, sorry.
I can't stay home because down the hill from me, they do stupidness.
Oh, okay.
So I get the sound even, you know, at my home. It means I have to find some. Anyway, let's come back.
Yeah.
Dr. Copeland, let's come back to your current position. What's your current position? What is apart from your sound issues?
Post-retirement, I'm now chairman at COSTAT, College of Science and Technology Applied Arts, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm also chairman at CCLCS, which is, I think we spoke about that already. That is the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies. Interesting interplay between these two, but CCLCS is focused a lot on social justice. COSTAT is, I call it, some people call it a second chance institution. So it really started off focus on those who didn't really make the grade first time around, not to look down on them and trying to find nice words to describe it, because people do, you know, fall off the wagon a little bit or fall behind for one reason or the other. But that's how it started. So it is it's broader in terms of its scope. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's given me a chance to continue to make a contribution to the education sector in Trinidad and Tobago, especially at the tertiary level.
Yeah. What is your vision for COSTAT's future?
Okay. Let me just preface what I'm going to say by responding along the line that our education system really needs to be flipped upside down. Because I don't think it is really aligned as fully as it should be to where the nation needs to go. I can't say wants, because I don't think we've really had a fulsome discussion. There is discussion there. There's the vision document from government. There have been documents put out by the ministry and so on. But I think in terms of having a national agreement, in terms of where we need to go and what the education system is for, you know, we kind of fall short. So when I don't want to answer that and leave that cloud hanging there. Now, there's an approach that I had started to develop while I was a principal at UE. Over the last year and a half, 2 years of my tenure. After COVID, that is when the light came on as to what we should really be doing. And if I were to summarize it in one word, it's survival, preparing your citizens for survival. And survival at different levels. If it is that Mother Nature just takes a big swat at you and mash up the place and then say lick up the place, and you're in devastation, those who survive need to be able to know how to continue surviving. Now, if they can't, your education system has failed. Yeah, it has failed. Now, it doesn't mean schooling. It doesn't mean high school and all that. It's just the education system in total, right? even coming from your parents, coming from the community and so on, the informal sectors. I view that all as the education sector. Somebody needs to keep track of that. But this is the most important part, and most people trivialize what I say. But you see what's happening with climate change. You've seen, for example, I think 4 years ago, one of the islands is off, was it Barbuda? It's totally, the population had to move out. It's totally, flooded over after the hurricane passed. So what's happening to those livelihoods? See it? So if you survive, right, the hurricane, the earthquake, the volcano explosion, or even man-made, disasters, it could be a riot or whatever. If you survive, but you're left on your own, so you're no longer part of an active society, you need to know how to continue surviving, especially if you have family, especially if you have children. You need to know how to do that. Now, there's all kind of things involved in that. I don't think we have time for that. I haven't worked it all out. But part of it means, hey, you have to get back to where our parents were many, many years ago, right? They knew how to, this grass do this, that tree do that, this leaf do that, how to, to get meat and whatnot and so on. But now you have more knowledge because you know what nutrition you need. In it is also the whole issue of your health, right? How healthy are you? Because, if you high blood pressure victim, case, right? Medication every day. Well, that's no longer available. See it? So what's going to help you? How do you manage your own space to be able to ensure that silent killer doesn't kill you? So it's all of these things that have to be considered. And again, the education system, I think, needs to take advantage of that. By the way, that discussion is part of a whole big take on something called physical literacy. Know your body, know how to manage it, right? And there's also mental literacy and so on in it. So that's one level. And then you have the other level, which is what we engage in all the time, which is survival in the world of work, right? How you navigate that space. While at the same time making a contribution to national sustenance, growth, and development. You might be conscious of it, but you're part of a bigger whole, right? That's something that most people in Trinidad need to know, by the way, because most people feel that they don't realize that when they get paid any month, it's because of the job that they did during the course of the month, right? And so you get a low productivity in many, many cases. There's some people are very good at being productive, and some who just, well, they tag along. We know that. That's all. I'm not saying anything that's not known, right? So yeah. But anyway, that contribution, and that's the whole thing with education. That is the whole thing with respect to what qualifications you have and what's the significant, what are you targeting, and by the way, are the jobs there, by the way, that sort of thing. So it gets into that, and then finally there's the world of the future. The world of work of the future. You have to survive in that space. And that future changing very rapidly, especially with AI and all this new technology. And I personally have a big fear of AI, right? So you have to be able to navigate that space, and you may have no choice but to play in that space. So that means that your education system now has to be such that you can be very quickly, the word we use at COSTAT is upskilled, to adjust and to make sure that you can earn your keep. In that space, and that is coming to us like faster than warp speed, So that is the system there now. Nationally, the sum total of that must result in a nation that is economically sound. We kind of shaky. We've always been shaky, relying just on oil and gas. And for years, many of us have been saying, no, you need to open up the economy. Well, the economy needs to be opened up. It's a two-way street. It's government, but as well as individuals. So you get more people involved in the foreign exchange earning activity in the country, right? I know for us a big talk these days, but I'm talking about earning it by way of the work that they do and by way of that work being competitive in the international space. So we need to operate on that front. So when you look at the nation, right, in the years to come, you have a strong economic platform, and it is strong and it is robust. So if something goes wrong and the oil market internationally takes a dip, you're not going to be as affected as you are right now. Why? Because your people are engaging in foreign exchange earning in other areas, so they can basically take up the slack. That's the whole concept. There is I'm a bit long-winded on this, so it's one of the main things I sort of thought about you. So excuse me, I'll just wrap it up by saying, there is a German model and a Costa Rican model that's similar. where the economy has been, the Vice Chancellor, we use the word democratized in that way. A large number of people taking part in it, right? And a large number of those people engaged in foreign trade. In German, they have a name for it. They call it the Mittelstand, right? That kind of grew amorphously. It's family companies that grew and they develop, and they support the big companies, but they also export on their own. And the education system has actually evolved to support that sector, which is quite interesting. Costa Rica, I still trying to find out if they designed it, on their own, but they also have a democratized system. So we have good examples right next door. Costa Rica is doing very well. Right in this region of the world, they are doing very well. Interesting country, no army, by the way, since after World War II, no army, and look where they are. It's true, you must study it. We'll take a look at it. But the economy is relatively sound because they just have a business mindset when it comes to the company. So Gostat needs to be a major player, a major supporter in that future economy. That's why I painted that picture. It has to be a major. It has to prepare people for that. It may have to adjust what it's doing along the way, but in terms of especially looking at its original mandate, catching those who really fell afoul of the core system, because there are always people who do. It needs to play that role. And by the way, they're not lost. If you look at the performance at the college and so on, you'll see that a lot of people just all they need is that second chance, and they fly, And so we are there to give them that support. But in doing it going forward, we have to be the one making that contribution. And it means doing something more than just educating. It means that we have to educate the population as well, engage them in discussion, because I can't say that we have all the ideas, but we need to also engage the population. The whole discussion on, and CEO is very good at this, having workshops and so on, cafe sessions, he calls it, innovation series, he calls it, on things like on matters such as this. And the last one I think was on recidivism, right? So that's and on social justice, that's criminal justice. I'm sorry. So those kind of discussions, because it's the whole societal framework has to come together. There's nothing that must not be untouched in building the framework for that nation, that ideal target nation. Long-winded answer, but you asked the question.
Long-winded answer, but an excellent answer. There's something I'm interested in, is what's the data-driven, what's the data we have to help you to make those decisions? Is it available?
The simple answer is not really, which is not really an answer, it's kind of like a cloudy answer. If I were to ask the question, how many people are needed in X field in 5 years? It's not immediately available. You have to go probing around and trying to extrapolate. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of networking. We develop good relationships with people outside there. The most recent one I know of is in the health area, nursing, and so on. And so we've identified some needs there. In fact, we just approved a couple of courses to focus on that particular, and that's based on feedback we got from them. So you can do it that way. At the top level, if you look at the CSO output, the Central Statistical Office, and I was pleased to see that the central bank, in fact, also has data actually a bit more detailed. They look at broad sectors and look at the trends over the last 2 years. Now, the central bank actually has reported trend has actually increased. You see in terms of the participation and not participation, this is not education, this is economic activity has increased in all of those areas. But if you look at the trends, you'll see the areas that there are years when the economic activity in a particular area dropped. All right. And so you can look at those and look at where that trend is carrying you to tell you whether an area is in need of, perhaps maybe in need of support, to help you identify which programs are needed. And of course, you can always follow up. There are players in those areas. It's more difficult when you have to project new areas. And if you look at what government has been saying, and the general population be saying, of course, everybody's focused on IT. So you have to, when you look at IT, we know that if you go more and more that way, it means you have to have more software developments, more web developers, more web developers, more people who are au courant with the technology as quickly as it may be changing as time goes by. So therefore, we also catered for that. So the underlying the script, I think, is that you have to be very quick, agile, and you have to be flexible, right, in order to meet those needs.
Yes. But you're saying that the data really is the, and are doing the research in order to get the data to figure out what exactly are you all going to be delivering.
Yeah, but I think we do very well by having the on the ground interaction. The best example I saw was that nursing case. I think we launched something like 3 programs based on our engagement with those individuals. And when you speak to those who were involved in it, they were like really knee deep in engaging with the stakeholders. We're saying, no, we need so, and they've been able to follow up very quickly in devising these program and courses. One of the concerns I had was, so there's, well, it's too early. One is all right, so they need X people, all right. It's going to take you like a year, 2 years to get them out there. What happens after that? It's going to be full. I kind of answered it myself by saying, well, there's some people who take courses because they're just interested and they're waiting for the opportunity. So we are there to provide for them. And then the next question will be, well, okay, what if the actual need changes? What are the provisions for these people? They say they need them, but what are the provisions in terms of hiring them and all of that? But again, you have to sort of play it like that and tell people, if the jobs are there, you can tell where the jobs are there. We're not giving you the job, by the way. You have to get the qualification and go for it. But at the same time, you give them the warning that things may happen otherwise. But now you're better prepared. And education is more than just the discipline you work in. It's that whole the discipline itself of getting involved in education is a whole learning experience. And so engaging people, you're actually developing them. This is beyond the actual content that is being delivered. So we make that sort of contribution, and also people who are looking for a job, it's probably no real solace. But in fact, what you've done is basically, develop your arsenal, your ability to win a job and so on, even if it's not the job that you want exactly. It happens a lot to university students. And many of them, I saw a study that showed, this was a COSTAT study that showed that when they asked people why they chose a particular discipline, they said because they like it.
Yeah.
Basically what they said, right? Somebody said me 2%, And I said, okay, but they had to be young people, right? With some kind of dream and whatnot. If an older person would say, no, I'm doing this either to change my direction or improve my stance on a job. So they'd be focused on it. And then when the young people, as we see at UE, when they get into it and midstream, they realize, wait a minute, what am I doing here? And then when they get out, they realize, well, the reality is, there aren't many spaces here. How do we handle that? But again, you've built up your collateral educationally. One of the things COSTAT is looking at is, and I know some people wouldn't like this, is looking at, is there a space for you internationally? And so we're trying to focus on preparing our students for employment internationally as well. I'm looking at the international markets and where they are going. Caribbean first, right? Especially with CSME, and of course even further abroad. And some have in fact done that. Yeah, so maybe we can assist in that particular way. There are many who don't like the concept of training people to see them go elsewhere. And my answer is, well, okay, give them a job now.
Yeah. But right. Traditionally, our nurses have been trained and they've gone abroad. So that is,
yeah, that happens here.
Yeah.
And so you always need to fill the spaces, right? Always need to do it. In Jamaica, I understand they have a standing joke. They say, as you hand them the degree, they head straight to the embassy. All right. So it is. So there's
one of the things
Sorry.
One of the things that happens is people who go abroad then send money home for their family.
Well, I think that is dropping.
It is dropping, yes. But and in terms of preparing people for international or regional jobs, to me, is a fantastic area.
Yeah, you have to look at pros and cons. And there's nothing that is all pro and nothing that is all con, right? So where does it work in the balance? And I remember once I used to be real upset when someone from high school, for example, they get that, well, this was bad. Actually, you get a scholarship, you go and you never come back, right? Or you take advantage of a university degree and you go and you spend outside there and your whole accent change and whatnot, and you disappear off the face of the earth. What I found later on is that many of those, after a while, they come and they give back. And they give back with the experience that they gathered elsewhere, right? And we've seen very, very good examples of that. So you have to wait, but you may also have to factor it more positively. Singapore, deliberately, in the early days under Lee Kuan Yew, sent their students out and say, just as we tried to do, but didn't work too well for us, so you're coming back here to work for 5 years. They had a very clear idea, excuse me a minute, they had a very clear idea of what they wanted people to do. They planned how things would evolve, which is coming back to us on the education system. They planned it. They knew in the future, they didn't know how much, but they had good ideas, planned it enough to say we need this person, that kind of sector. So they had the emphasis on particular areas. We have it, but it's not, in my view, it's not as meticulously policed as Singapore did, right? And I know people use Singapore to that in terms of a reference nation. I mean, they've done very well. You can't argue with that, all right? They were behind us in the 60s. They were behind us. The Lee Kuan Yew came and decided he didn't want to do what we're doing. When a couple of maskmen passed in front of him, he said, I ain't going that way. And he went back and he created basically a draconian state. But it was the best example of a good dictator. All right, benevolent dictator, I think we say. But we don't get to discuss Singapore. I'm just using as an example as to how they treated their space. But the end result, it is us managing the whole system. The system was not designed for us. It was designed to put clerks behind a desk in the English system. That's what it was for, right? We know driving the bus of Trinidad and Tobago, and we have to see this as a major engine. And there are all kinds of things that are involved in terms of developing the space as we go along. Just as I felt for UWI, I told them that more than once. I feel the same for the whole country, is that they should shut the whole thing down and start back over. All right? And put in and design in it those things that you need. If you go along this, put in plasters on source, it's going to be a mess. Which is, we reinvented the system to a certain extent, but I do think it's, in my view, it's not enough. It's starting to be corrected, but I do think I need to be. Constat is doing well because I think under the current CEO, it has started to do some soul searching. It has come up with a strategic plan, 23 to 28. And it's a plan that is bold. It definitely says we have to go global, but we have to fix our internal systems, the whole culture, and how we engage in it, and so on. And I think, in fact, at least that start has been made. Right, after, you should really interview him sometime, right? That's Dr. Keithness, right? But he can give you a lot more details. I will tend to give you long-winded answers, not intentionally.
And my interest for today is really the overall objective. And you just said something that I don't know how this country could do it. You said over. How do you do that?
I'm sorry, it slipped a bit when you speak. It's stuck, so you have to go back over that side.
I'll say it again. Yeah. You just talked about shutting down the country and starting over, and that is an excellent thought. But the implementation of that, what would it require?
It requires a lot of determination and discussion, and then you just have to have the muscle to make it through once you decide that is what you want to do. That being said, it is an ideal that many people say, oh, you are the idealist. I say, yeah. But you know something? If somebody doesn't describe what the ideal is, you're not sure, you will never be sure about how far you're falling short. You will never be sure because you don't know what your absolute reference is. You need an absolute reference. So even if it's not possible for whatever reason, you may not have enough energy to do it, enough firepower to do it, and all that sort of stuff, at least you would have described what it entails, right? In terms of the character of it, what it brings and so on. Yeah. So it often I would say it's right now, it's not possible. If you start on that road, you're talking about a 5 to 10 year journey. Easy. Because you're talking about changing mindsets, of changing culture, not just of those in the education system, but you're changing the mindset of citizens as well. What do they expect of the system? What is it for? You see it? So and changing our cultural mindset, it takes a long time to do that. Yeah. So you need the power of Lee Kuan Yew to get there. Right? Yes, you do.
This is the second time you're talking about Lee Kuan Yew and Singapore.
Yeah.
And you are quite right in terms of the power and that objective and that vision.
Yeah.
And what I would love to see in our country is that vision articulated, because we may not be able to shut it down, but if we know where we want to go, then a lot more people can become involved in the transformation that is required.
Yeah.
So I think you and I are on the kind of same page.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, you could see that as well, which is, I've always said, and again, I can't have to speak a lot about my experience at UV, because it's before this is the most recent one. I've only been at Costa a year. I don't need everybody to be on board. I just need, a small enough group to start acting on this. And the thing about Trinidad, you can say what you want. Once people see that you're successful in something, well, all man come in. All right, everybody will then jump on board. All right, so you have to be able to show that success very early. And that's one of the toughest areas to do it. And we didn't talk about the employment scenario and there not being jobs. Well, not everybody could jump off board and go abroad and get a job, that lasts whatever and set up a new life. Especially when very careful, if a certain president, person comes in as president, right? But what about creating your own job? How about creating your own space? You see, and that ties back into what I was talking about before, which is the Mittelstand and the democratized economy. Well, okay, so I can't be a whatever. I'm going to create my own space. And it doesn't have to be anything. I've spoken about innovation. It doesn't have to be a fully innovative and engagement. You just have to make money, right? So if you can find a way to bring in that foreign exchange, selling doubles or something, right? Everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people do it. And I think there are a couple of international agents playing there. But maybe it's not a good example because you'll have a kind of an advantage competitively. But doing something that is regular, all right? You if you can do it just well and you manage to land a couple of good contracts and bring in income because of that, then you're doing it, right? It's not innovation. You haven't won a patent or anything like that. You don't absolutely need to do that. You are bringing in income. Now that's the entrepreneurship thinking that needs to exist in the country. Now, thankfully, even without the education system, the young people, right, have gotten on to that because with the global world, social media, they're seeing their colleagues do it. They're watching the movies and they're seeing kids as young as 12 and 13 and 14 starting their own businesses and all that sort of stuff. And some people are doing it. So I think there is hope. But you just need to start small seed as well. Doesn't it be the explosive way I described? That's just my wishful thinking. But you can start with the seed and then just give it all the nutrients needed for it to grow and grow and grow and finally will blossom. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to switch the conversation a little bit to move away from start to switching from academics to creative work.
Yeah.
How would you explain GPAN to young people?
No, I have to be sure, right? Because people mix them up. So I did have a patent for the G-pan. I have a patent for something called the percussive harmonic instrument, which is the Phi. That's an electronic version of the traditional pan. So the G-pan is a re-engineered form of the traditional instrument. So basically, the traditional instrument grew, I'm using the word again, amorphously, right? So somebody tinkered here, they say, oh, I can get sound from this, and they developed on it. Different people played in it. So till now, we still argue about who created the pan.
Yeah.
Ellie Manet had said, who cares? That's yeah, she said that, basically. Right? And it grew, and they happened on some technology. A lot of people do appreciate this technology that was novel. Were we a mature enough society at the time, we would have patented it, right? That's the pan, right? There's some serious technology in there. It looks simple, looks trivial, it's noisy to make it as noisy sometimes to play, depending on how you play it. But it has wrapped in it some tremendous technology. So much so that I mentioned this before. There was a NASA scientist involved in metallurgy, and when he saw the instrument, he was blown away because his work was very similar, right, to what the pan is. His work was looking at the impact of debris in space on the shuttle fuselage. He was looking at that. How does it impact, and then how could he strengthen the fuselage? And because in a way, the pan, the way you shape the notes to get different tones, it talks about putting the metal in a place where it does what you want it to do, which is what he wanted to do with the aircraft fuselage. So he did some excellent research on the pan. Yes, this is New Mexico. And he also formed his own bonsai. Right? So it is a powerful device. But the thing is that it grew amorphously. So we still don't fully understand how it works. So the G-pan is an attempt to harness what we know into saying, okay, if I were to design this from scratch, what would I do? And a couple of things that we did was, first of all, we use certified metals on the playing surface. Certified meaning we kind of know very well what the composition of the material is. So it's so much steel, so much manganese, so much carbon, and so on. I think 0.04% carbon. We had all those specs knocked down because we had already tested it. Those results are out there in papers to say which ones work best for the instrument. All right. So that's just the top. Then on the sides now, the part that most people don't pay attention to, the rim where the top of the pan meets the side. Yeah, that's very important because when you hit this, the whole thing, it does a very complex dance. All right. The notes vibrate, yes, but the whole thing vibrates as well. Some of the vibrations you wouldn't want to hear it. It's horrible. And happily, the tuners have smothered it. What we did was we strengthened the rim, right, to ensure that the rest of the pan doesn't affect the music generating aspects of it. That's the skirt, right? So there's a compound design that's in the patent, but we never got there, right? We just did the regular pan and improved it. If you were to look at the bases, which many say is the most thunderous base you can get, the NSSO has them. They're big. We went big for a reason. Right? It was more strategy than anything else. Turn it upside down. We use braces underneath, and that is to stop the skirt from I call it vamping, from vibrating too much. It actually throbs when you hit it, and that affects sound and how it's projected. So we were able to get that bass from the size and by controlling those vibrations. We actually use damping materials. So there's my DJing and music stuff coming in because that's what you do in a speaker box, right? You got to control it. If a speaker is working and the size vibrates too much, your speaker is not going to last very long, all right? And so you have to control it, stop the size from vibrating so that only the speaker pushes the air that generates the sound. And that's what we wanted with the instrument. Yeah. So that is the G-pan, more or less. A couple of other things as well, but we were looking at everything that makes the pan sort of work and improve upon it. The intention was also to have it as a premier instrument in building a new steel pan industry. And I have to say I'm a bit disappointed that really didn't happen. There are some G-pans we made that were very much in demand by tuners because of the material. It was holding the tune, as they say, very, very long, for quite a long period of time. And because we played with the size a little bit, the tuners were saying they're so happy because now they can get to do things they can't do with the regular drums. Those regular drums, some of them they call poison drums, because when they burn it, of course, all the stuff that was inside that, I mean, you're smelling that, right? So so it's going into your lungs. These pans are made from scratch, everything, raw steel that goes into it. The Phi is a complete different thing. It's pure electronics. So it just looks like a pan, but the beauty of it is that we stuck with the tenor pan design, is that it's a familiar design. What people don't know is that the note layout on the tenor pan actually is a pattern that has been known in the music industry for 400 years. It's called the circle of fifths, right? Now, Tony Williams is the first person to put that on an instrument. And he didn't realize that the pattern existed before. He actually created the pattern from scratch. Tells you about the brilliance of the man, right? So anybody in the world who knows music, you tell them that's the circle of fifths, they can play the instrument in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So we use that on the Phi, put the circle of fifths on it, and basically after that is just electronics, right? And that electronic protege was designed here, and we did the actual prototype and so on right here in this country. We use all the technology we were learning in class, and so we hit the note, and it sends out the sound, right? Using a whole chain of activities, it sends out that sound for you. And guess what? You could change the sound. So on the same instrument, I could play a tenor. Then I press a button, I'm playing a mid-pan. I press a button, I'm playing a thunderous bass, right? Press a button, I'm playing piano. Press a button, I'm playing sitar, right? Any instrument you can think of. Or you want to make up your own instrument, go right ahead. There's tools for doing that, and it will play for you.
Yeah.
You want to put your voice on it? No problem. You could do that too, right? Hit the note, it plays your voice, right? Because it's exactly what a keyboard is, but it's just that the interface is different.
Yeah.
Made in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. Having said all of that, if a miracle occurred and you could determine the future of our steel band industry, what would that look like?
We are the creators of this instrument. Collectively, I know people argue about, it should be on the coat of arms and all that kind of stuff, and whatnot and so on. That's not us. Say, no, it is you. It's us. Because that technology did not exist before, right? It might have been born in Laventille, but it was nurtured by Trinidad and Tobago, right? It is an opportunity for business. So we need to dominate and control that business. That was the intention of the G-Pan in the first instance. Dominate the business. Anybody who wants a pan, first port of call must be Trinidad and Tobago. Must be, all right? That is where I want us to. When it comes to performance, right, the performer of choice must be from Trinidad and Tobago. That's a real good foreign performers outside there. And of course, there's the diaspora, that people go in there. It still must be that they have a strong connection to Trinidad and Tobago. I am so strong on that I'm saying, if there's a real good performer out there who's not a Trinidadian, make him one. Sorry.
So this might be a hard question. Yeah. How is that related to this dream that you have?
Well, it from the concept of innovation, because when we pushed this PAN project, it was all within that sort of circle of developing this more innovative nation, democratizing the economy, and that sort of stuff. So what I saw was that the FI and the GPAN would be the examples that, when launched, would show people, look, this came from you. And if this could be done here, you could do it as well, right? And so COSTAT in going through its development and in engaging in its programs, they're looking at innovation. We have an MOU with Curry and so on, who has what they call a Fab Lab, which is where you can almost play with your ideas and so on. Essentially play with your ideas. Any idea you have, you can come up and give you guidance as to how to move the business forward. So yeah, they're very much part of it. That part that deals with preparing the citizen to be part of that pioneering group that what the Bible says, cast your bread upon the water, right? That goes out and will be successful entrepreneurs. Yeah. So they all play a role. Every single institution, in fact, the whole education sector needs to be focused on that. It's not the old game where you're just putting people out there and you don't know what's going to happen. Like throwing seeds, you know what's going to fall. I mean, come on, right? That used to work when there were jobs aplenty. And even then, there are people who were not satisfied. But no, that's not the case. So you got to now be more strategic. Part of it is creating your own job, creating your own space, developing your own economy. We driving the bus. This is ours.
Don't know how many people agree with you that we driving the bus, huh?
I don't care.
I would love to see a lot more of that approach to the way we do things.
Yeah.
But as we bring this session to an end, and thank you very much for giving me a full hour of your time.
Yeah.
What would you like the person on the maxi to take away from this conversation?
I think, wow, that's a nice little bowl there. I think a lot of people are despondent, and I think that we have to realize that we need to take control of our lives. There are things that you can do to improve your lot. Maybe you're not seeing it. It may be along the lines of how you're prepared educationally. It may be the education system turning it off so much that you're kind of wary about going back into it. And I'm always of the view that, well, we learn from everything in any case. So I would say grab the opportunities for further education, but keep your eye on the prize of improving your life and the well-being of your family by exploring all means to engage in entrepreneurship. Start a business. Keep your eye on that. Even if you're in a current job and it's doing okay, start your business. Believe me, when you retire, you wish you did. All right? But start a business and let the business grow and start another one. Right? Start another one and another one. Until you will reach the point where you're so proficient at it that you could tell what's going to happen. You'll have it at your fingertips. And in that suite of businesses that you're developing, all right, make sure that some of them earn foreign exchange. You know where we are with that right now. That's my recommendation. That's my giveaway.
And thank you very much.
Okay.
And where are you going to continue with your sound systems and that which is the thing that people don't know about you? How are you going to continue with that? What are you going to be doing?
Well, I'm in one of the churches this week, so yeah, we just did a design for them and doing installation as well, and passing it on to the students. As we go on, may involve them in this one. I'll be careful with that because there are some parts of it you have to be careful about. But yeah, that's where it is.
Thank you ever so much,
Okay.
Brian. And
All
it's such a pleasure to chat with you because you're so positive about the future of our country. And I hope that attitude just transforms and hits other people as they travel on the maxi and listen to us.
Same here. We could do it. We can do it. All right. Standing right is right. We can do it if we try.
That's a song, right? We can do it if we try.
Cool.
Thank you ever so much
for
being part of Power Conversation. Join us on Wednesday for another conversation that goes into what we need. Thank you.
I believe that without legislation in Trinidad and Tobago, pretty much nothing gets done. And when it comes to people with disabilities, legislation will assist by way of education and especially employment.